Portland Sports Leader 1080, The Fan. Oh, happy hump day, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
What is happening?
Happy Wednesday. We have we've started our hump day off. Will Ortner in for Jason Swigard today.
What's up, Big Will?
We have started our show off with embracing debate off the air. And so we must start the show embracing debate on the air.
Did you see they're making a 30 for 30 on this?
On what?
On the debate style of sports media launched by Stephen A. Smith and First Take.
Okay, first of all, Stephen A. Smith didn't start embracing debate. If you want to be fair to it, I would give the credit to either Mike and the Mad Dog or Cold Pizza.
Yes, and he was not a part of the original Cold Pizza. That was more of a Skip Bayless.
He was a rotating cast member.
Yeah, they had rotating people. He was not the main guy.
Yeah, Skip and Woody Page was really where
it began.
Unless you want to give Wilbon and Kornheiser the credit for Around the Horn, they embraced debate.
They did, but that didn't feel. This is more like hot takey stuff of like, let's just say things for attention and outlandish opinions, and they're actually making it. I don't know where. I don't think it's a 30 for 30 or if it's an ESPN Plus thing, but they made a documentary, and I saw the trailer yesterday, and I thought, who the hell wants to watch this?
Why would you watch it?
Stephen A. is going to watch it before he goes to bed every night.
The erosion of our media landscape. I'm okay. I'll pass on that.
How insufferable you think he is away from the microphone?
I think it's all an act. I don't think he's that insufferable.
You think the guy that walked into the tunnel at Madison Square Garden?
I mean, he definitely is an egomaniac, but he's not like.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Sure, he's a narcissist and an egomaniac, but I don't think he's yelling at you about like Thai food over Mexican food.
No, I don't. I guess
Everywhere
I didn't mean
he
it that
goes.
way. No,
it's the enchiladas. The enchiladas over the tacos. What are we talking about?
It's the sauce, not the beans. Embracing debate. The debate is off the air that we bring on the air today. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope you got your coffee flowing through your veins. Dirt got out of his truck in our parking lot. We're in downtown over by the Fremont Bridge to the 405.
Shout out to the Pearl.
Shout out to Pearl.
What's up, Pearl?
I debate all the time. If I ever was in a scenario of living alone,
single Sprague,
I honestly think I would live down here.
You think so?
Yeah. If I still had this job, sure. I'd buy a 1-bedroom, nice little apartment up the road. Everything you want is around here. I'd walk everywhere. It'd be great.
That is true. You don't really need a car unless you're going out of the Pearl.
And the one thing I've learned about the tweakers that everybody complains and is scared of that doesn't come downtown is largely, either treat them like T-Rex, don't look them in the eye, or just keep walking. They leave you alone.
Their arms often look like a dinosaur's.
There are there's conditions that I'm like, I don't know what that's called.
But got the little alligator arms walking down the street.
Dude, their limbs are black sometimes.
Not
and
good.
Gray-scaled. I don't know how to they lizard skin. I don't know what that fentanyl's doing, but man.
It's like a Targaryen.
But embracing debate is Dirk gets out of his truck in our parking lot, and he's dropped his bagel. Now, he has a paper towel around the bagel, but the bagel pops out of the paper towel onto the wet, needle-covered cement.
Hey, there were no needles on the ground in our parking lot.
There were no needles in the parking lot, but I wanted to add it for the radio.
A little fentanyl that's going to hit me at 7:45 this morning.
And Dirt says he scooped it up within 2 seconds.
Quick scoop. Fast on my feet.
I would ask if it was wet at all, if you felt any moisture on the bagel on the outside.
I tried to not feel the texture. I tried to get it back in the paper towel as quickly as I could in case there was moisture, because if there was moisture, then I'm not going to eat the bagel.
Dirt is a 5-second guy. I'm largely not, so I would have been pissed because it would have been trash for the bagel.
Yeah.
Dirt has the bagel on our studio desk, and he's still debating.
Do I eat it?
Should I eat this bagel?
As someone who was in here last night, I don't know if the ground is cleaner or that spot where you have the bagel is cleaner.
Oh, sure. I know he puts his feet there. I know Sakanic puts his feet there.
He loves to put his naked ass feet on that desk.
We need to put a sign up or something. That's too far.
No shirt, no shoes, no service.
Come on, man. I don't wear shoes either. I'm a flip-flop guy all summer long. You're grossed out by feet, and so there's a weird, we got to get over that hump as a show every May and June.
I deal with it.
When I start wearing flip-flops, but I'm not putting on shoes until it's October. My shoes are not coming back on unless I'm playing golf. I would never in a million years put my bare feet on this studio.
I try, when I put my legs up, I try to keep my shoes off the desk so my leg is kind of on it but I don't like to even put my shoes on it.
Yeah, I feel like shoes are gross, but not as gross as bare feet.
Shoes are pretty gross.
Shoes
think
are
about where
gross.
you walk in here, and like we've talked about the bathroom situation here. People piss all over the floor in front of the urinal. Oh, well, I don't think they miss. I think
it's
they just
a puddle in there sometimes.
I think it's a spray. You know what I mean? Like it's coming out different.
Shotgun shot.
A little bit, yeah.
It's a spread. It's got a good spread.
There's 12 bullets out of that one shot. So
here's my
to
thinking.
his point, you might be in more bacteria.
Well, it's under
hell.
the paper towel. I got a double bridge paper towel here, a double layered paper towel.
Okay.
I feel good about not getting any of Sakanic's foot toe jam on my bagel right now.
I'll put a poll question here. Bagel drops on the cement outside in your parking lot.
Do you still eat it?
You pick it up within how many seconds would you say?
I mean, I'll give myself 2.5.
2.5
It was
seconds.
a pretty quick lean down and grab and back of the paper towel.
Okay. And then 2.5 seconds, you pick it up. Do you eat the bagel? I don't. I'm throwing that. I'm not even thinking about it.
Not contemplating it.
It's not even, you wouldn't even know I had the bagel.
No.
I would have thrown it away outside.
You wouldn't even have made it. You probably would have just left it in the parking lot for our homeless fentanyl bros out there. Here's a bagel for you. Come, anybody want a bagel? Come get a bagel.
You know what? I actually would have felt bad giving that bagel to...
Oh, don't feel bad. No, they would have. They would have loved that bagel.
I'll tell you.
I don't think they have the standards that you have when it comes to germs.
Well, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I mean,
the whole needle thing. I think they kind of...
That's a fair point. But one time
that.
during an internship, I was staying an internship in Seattle, and I had to take the bus once in a while. My dad lives in Lakewood. So there were mornings where I couldn't borrow a car, so my oldest brother would pick me up and drop me off in downtown Seattle. So I would have to take the bus back.
Yeah.
And I was at a bus stop in downtown once, and I was a college student, so I didn't have a lot of money. And I wasn't getting paid for this internship. And there were two homeless people asking for money or food. And I was like, I don't have any money. So I went into this little convenience store at the bus stop, and I bought a groceries worth of food. And I handed these people a bag of food, like full-on bananas, a bunch of Twinkies and some hot pizzas or whatever. I bought them a whole bag of food, a big grocery bag. And I said, "Here you go." And they didn't say thank you.
Didn't know.
They just stared at me like I was an idiot.
Yeah, they just wanted the drugs, man.
They did. I walked to the bus stop. I looked down the road. They thought they were far enough away, and they looked around and they threw the whole bag in the garbage.
Oh.
I don't give food to people anymore. That scarred me. I was done.
That would piss me off.
It pissed me off
beyond imagination.
But what am I going to do? I'm going to fight junkies? I'm out on that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to do that.
You just keep going. So here's my thought process here. This is what's rattling through my pea brain this morning. I had the wife picked up some donuts yesterday, and so I popped a couple of those little like maple glazed donut holes. Just super dangerous to have around the house.
I've never had that.
So as I'm like sitting in my kitchen making breakfast, making my bagel, making my coffee this morning, I popped a couple of those in my mouth. Usually the bagel gets eaten on the way into work. That's how I usually eat my breakfast, and I don't bring it into the studio. But because I had the donuts this morning, there was a little bit of a base layer in the stomach, so I didn't eat it. Somebody's asking, how did it survive the drive into work? I have it wrapped in a paper towel. Like 2 paper towels wrapped up. Double paper towel. You kind of fold them up together. I had it sitting on top of my coffee mug, but I have to get my key fob out to get in. And so the bagel's on top of the coffee mug, slips off, and here is the problem. I think I'm going to wait as the show goes on. Because if I don't get hungry, I'm definitely not going to eat the bagel. But I can't tell you what my stomach's going to feel like at 7:45 this morning.
Okay.
That's the dilemma that I'm facing. Like, would I rather finish the show hungry and overlook whatever's on this bagel, or not overlook, or say I need to eat something and I don't care about the germs anymore?
So, okay, I have a quick question.
Because I don't need it right now. I'm not hungry. I already had my donut this morning. I'm okay.
Yeah.
But how am I going to feel in 2 hours?
Okay, so that's why you didn't eat the bagel on the way.
That's why I did not eat the bagel on the way in. Because usually the bagel doesn't even make it to the studio. You don't ever see the bagel. The bagel's gone, and it's been demolished by then.
I usually have the same scenario. That's why I don't ever have food. When I come in, I eat it on the way or at home. Now, here's the other thing. Bagels are interesting in the longer they sit, I think the worse they are after they've been toasted.
You're not wrong about that.
So by 8, that bagel's going to be kind of chewy, crunchy, gross.
You're not wrong about that.
So you kind of need to make your mind up here pretty quick, or that bagel's going to be very...
You think I got a bad strategy here?
It's unsatisfying.
I need to eat it before 6:30 if I eat it?
I think you're more prone to throw that bagel away later based on how it tastes and chews than it hitting the ground outside.
A little rubbery and plasticky.
Yeah.
Get a little too chewy for me.
I'm out on that.
You're out on the bagel.
No, thank you.
You can't eat it, dude. It hit like dirt. This is coming from a former 315-pound dude. If it hits
we have
dirt,
a former fat on the show.
We do.
Reformed fat. I've given up the lifestyle.
Reformed fat.
You can't eat that, dude. You got to let that one go. That one dies. Like, people drive through mud. People walk through you know what.
Yep.
You got to let that one die.
Here's the thing for me, though. None of this stuff is that gross to me. And I know that sounds weird, but it's not that gross to me. It just isn't. Like, if I drop something on the floor at home, like, how long do you let something lay on the floor if you drop it at home?
My house or my parents' house?
Either or.
My parents' house longer than my house.
Sure. But how long do you let it lay on the floor before you eat it at home?
Not long. But again,
Are you a 5-second guy?
Yeah, but again, it depends on the situation.
Okay.
Do people wear shoes in your house?
No.
Oh, okay.
Thank
Well, then you got bare feet, so now it's in bare feet. You're still going to eat it?
No, I shower. I don't know. It's my parents' house. That's clean. My house? No. Outside? No.
Yeah, we'll see. I got a conundrum coming up. I'm probably going to eat it, if I'm being honest with you. I'm probably going to eat it.
I mean, good for you. If you can eat it, eat it.
I'm building the immune system up. This is how I do it.
You might be right.
I don't get sick. It's because I eat bagels that were on the ground in the parking lot.
The thing about the 5-second rule is most people that are gross, and I'm sorry to say this to you, but most people who are 5-second rule, they lie all the time, and it's on there for like 7 seconds.
Oh,
and like,
sure.
Well, it was 5 seconds. Right? Was it? No.
The funniest thing about all this is we have I don't know what's going on, but they're doing some construction above us, and there's a construction company out in the parking lot.
I think we have a new tenant coming in.
And they're doing some demolishing to the whatever the place is above us. And so there's been these construction trucks that are out there every morning, which is very rare for us because usually we get here and it's Terry and Jeets from KGON, maybe a couple of tweakers, and that's about it. There's nobody else that's here that time of day.
No.
But now we have these construction trucks that are here every morning, and I'm pretty sure there was one guy who was sitting in his truck that saw the entire thing unfold. And I just wanted to know what was going through his mind as he watches me drop the bagel, hit the ground, roll out, for a brief moment onto the pavement, and then watch me as I lean down, pick up, put it back in the paper towel, and take it into the office. And I hope that he listens to the show because he probably wants an answer to the question that he's been wondering now for the last 40 minutes. Is he going to eat the bagel?
Is that guy going to eat that bagel?
Is he going to eat that bagel? I'd eat that bagel. Is he going to eat that bagel?
Well, I guess we'll have to see. Will Dirt eat the bagel? We'll find out.
We'll find out.
We're embracing debate.
Stay tuned. Coming up next after the break.
We got a very busy show. There is a lot to discuss. Let's start, I guess, with the conference finals. I guess we ease our way in with some conference finals. We had a choke job last night. Quite literally a choke job, something we haven't seen happen ever. And so we'll start there. We've got Joe Freeman is going to hop on the show today at 8:15. He is going to join us live from the Pac-12 baseball tournament. He covers Oregon State baseball. Your Ducks are the 3 seed, so they little expectation going into that thing.
Let's go. World Series or bust for us. We're going to fire our coach if we don't get to Omaha.
It is the last Pac-12 sports thing.
It is.
This is our last.
This is it.
Pac-12.
There's nothing else. There's no other sport that's still going on.
This is it.
Did you see the Final Four of? You probably didn't. The Final Four of women's golf.
I heard it was going on. I missed it, though.
Okay, the Final Four. I think we're down to the championship now, but yesterday was the Final Four in women's golf. All 4 schools were from the Pac-12.
Man.
It was Stanford.
Oh, the national tournament.
The national championship Final Four.
That?
It was Stanford, USC, UCLA, and Oregon.
Hey, private equity might bring us back.
That's right. We're coming back, baby.
I read that article for you today.
Let's go.
4:15. I read a Ross Dellinger article on private equity. I'm like, God, I hate this stuff.
This is so stupid.
This is so dumb. Loaded show. A weird stat or story today. Let's start conference finals. Dirt and Sprague on the Fan.
The Fan is live on YouTube.
yesterday. I got my shed finally done.
It's all done.
It's all done. I was in the pouring rain finishing some roof stuff. It was terrible.
Yeah, not a good day to finish. I think it's supposed to be somewhat dry today, too.
Yeah, I had enough.
You're just ready.
My hands are just mangled. I'm tired of it. I want my weekends again. I'm getting this crap done.
The fear is if you don't finish it like that, at what point does I'll just take a day off, turn into 2 days off, turn into 3 days off, and next thing you know, you're like 2 weeks later and you still haven't finished your shed.
So I got that done and, did the parent thing. And then by the second half of this Pacer-Celtic game, I had what I thought was the perfect moment for me in my life at where I'm at. 37, and I was laying down on an iPad watching the Eastern Conference Finals, drinking a Diet Coke, and I don't know if I've been happier in the last 10 years.
Just the feet up, laying back on the probably doing a lot of those after every sip.
I was, yeah. I do the Kevin McAllister's cousin, the kid that pisses in the bed. He always drinks the Pepsi.
Fulter, or what's his name, or something like
Fulton,
that.
Yeah, I was doing one of those, like, looking at my wife like, I might wet the bed tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to go pee. I think the only thing I ever do that sound with is soda.
Yes.
Like I don't do it much with coffee. I don't do it with like any kind of booze. But if you have there's something that hits different about like a couple of ice cubes in a glass with a cold soda after like a hot day and you've been working.
Oh, it's perfect.
And you hear the fizzing and you kind of feel it on your face as you're taking a sip. Oh, it's delightful.
The Embrace debate poll question is up. Dirt dropped his bagel in our parking lot. He claims he grabbed it in 2.5 seconds. Would you eat a bagel dropped in a parking lot? Yes. 5-second rule? No.
Ryan says the Mythbusters prove that the 5-second rule is true. They sprayed bacteria all over the floor. They dropped food. They waited 5 seconds and tested the food. There was no bacteria on it. So that's an encouraging one. And I like the one that said basically time is irrelevant. It's just how hungry I am.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's kind of my sense right now.
That's fair.
I'm going to see how the next 20 minutes goes.
I got a text from one of our listeners, Griffiths. He said, hey, I work and there's we tend to get homeless people in our parking lot.
Yeah.
And I had to tell some they had to get out yesterday, and they yacked all over our parking lot. Good luck to you in your parking lot.
Thankfully, I haven't seen any homeless people throw up, but it might have happened.
Yeah. Quite a choke job last night.
Boy, oh boy, was it.
Let me put it in context for you in case you're like, well, I don't know, man. I mean, Boston's a great team. They've been tracking this stat, Elias Sports Bureau, since 97-98. So let's go back to Michael Jordan's final season in the NBA. My kid had her mind blown, too, that I got to watch Michael Jordan play basketball.
She couldn't connect the dots there that you were alive for that?
Wait, you got to watch him? And I'm like, yeah, it was pretty cool.
He was really good. Won a lot of championships.
Since 1997-98, they have had 250 scenarios that teams had the ball in the final 10 seconds with a 3-point lead. 250 times those teams have won. That is now 250-1. That's the magnitude of choking we had last night.
How has that not happened one other time? Like, that blows me away that there hasn't been at least one or two other games since 1998.
It's an Elias Sports Bureau
That's crazy.
Factoid, and hearing that out loud kind of, I think, puts it in context of what we saw Indy do last night.
I mean, they turned the ball over twice with 20 seconds left just on their own. Halliburton just dribbled the ball out of bounds.
What was that?
What are you doing, dude?
Holiday's awesome. Okay, we've given Holiday's flowers since he locked Dame's ass up in the playoffs.
Yes, we have.
But come on. What are you doing dribbling the ball like you have 2 feet on your arms? I didn't understand what that was at all.
And then the inbounds pass where you just got to inbound a ball.
Call a timeout.
Call a timeout.
That
if
was
you're not
clearly a broken play, and Boston had defensively figured out whatever it is they had.
It was hilarious, too, because when Brown tipped it or, affected the play to where the ball went out of bounds, he figured that they were just going to call Pacer ball. So his second the ball hit out of bounds, Brown did. He immediately turned and said, review the play. And then it dawned on him that they didn't call it Indiana ball. They called it Boston ball. And you're like, oh, my God. To get one turnover in the final 20 seconds when it's a one-possession game is an absolute miracle in modern NBA standards, and they didn't capitalize on it. And then the very next possession to get another turnover and then hit a corner dagger 3 after Indiana's unable to foul. Boston had zero business winning that game. Zero business winning that game. The fear for Indiana is you're already the outgunned team, I think, in this series, despite how last night's game went. can you get away with something like this and still survive? That's the fear of like, I don't know if I would have changed my opinion, but if they win game one, at least people's ears are perking up of like, damn, they went into Boston and won the first game of the series. Now that you lost that game, that's such a painful loss to come back from.
Well, it's not that you are saying this is your take, the whole, hey, damn, they won the first game, but I kind of threw it at you at the end of the show.
You did, yeah.
I think the Pacers can make this somewhat of a series, and I was feeling good about that take up until the final minute.
They covered the 10.5 at least.
What would your thoughts have been had they come back from a 12-0 deficit to start the game, gone down 12 again later in the game?
In the third quarter, I thought it was over. In both instances, I thought Indiana no-showed and this game's going to be a blowout. And then in the third quarter, I'm like, all right, Boston finally took control.
Certainly you could be right here, but this has kind of been my point. The Minnesota game, I'm kind of conditioned now with this league when they go down 20 to just say, if this gets to 30, then okay.
Yeah.
But I keep it around 20, and they cut to like 14 before you know it. We got 2 Breen bangs, and it's only 14.
Bang, bang!
And he gave Brown the double bang last night, as he should have.
I don't know, all those turnovers were worthy of a double bang. The end of that game was so ugly, man.
It was pretty weird.
The Tatum turnover before that, where he got the
God.
screen from Holiday and just lofted it to him.
Holiday was going to roll.
Like, dude, that was ugly basketball.
By the way, Tatum, prior to that overtime 3, going into that shot,
no show.
2 of 10 in the fourth quarter in overtime.
He was so bad late in that game.
And he had 4 turnovers, too.
He finally got the N1 in OT, and then he hit the wide open 3, and everybody's like, look at that. He went for 8 in OT. Like, dude, he was ass in the fourth quarter.
He was pretty bad.
And he was bailed out again by the guy who bailed him out and made the NBA Finals competitive.
Jaylen Brown.
That's the whole funny thing is people can try and bring up Tatum and the way he played in OT. If he doesn't get saved by a teammate on a miraculous shot after 2 insane turnovers, we are all sitting here saying, where the hell was that guy in the fourth quarter in game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals for a team that is at least in the NBA Finals or bust category?
But I meant to ask you, if the Indy had secured that game and not blown it, would you have come in today with a different tone or thought, or would you have still largely been the, Indy stole one. Okay, I'm Boston, no problem. Like, where would you have been today had they won that game?
I'm so caught in between on this because I don't think Indiana's that good.
I think they got a weird vibe to them.
And that's the other part of it. It's like I found myself last night as the game went on wondering, why do I trust Boston? Like, why am I putting them in this category of like can't be beaten or nobody can push them into a long series? We saw them lose the Eastern Conference Finals to an 8-seeded Miami Heat last year. So I don't know if I would have flipped a ton. I would have had to ask for more evidence. I want to see how game 2 goes because we have seen Boston do this in each of their first 2 series where they've had a clunker game at home. And I don't know if that one was necessarily the same clunker of the way they lost to Miami in the first round or lost to Cleveland in the second round. But both those times they lost that game, we said, oh my God, how the hell did Boston lose? And what happened the rest of the series? They dominated the next 3 games and they won them in gentlemen's sweeps. So I would have asked for more evidence, but it would have not been encouraging to see Indiana go in and win game 1 on their home floor.
Did you think Siakam had enough time?
That was so tough
to foul.
That was so tough.
My 2 cents to the broadcasting credit. When you're in it, it feels significantly different than us watch. I was watching in my garage and on my couch. Right? I thought he had a second where he could have just grabbed his arms, prevented him from shooting, because it wasn't like Brown caught it and instantly went up. It was kind of like a body hesitation of, do I have space?
Yeah.
And then he shot it. And again, Siakam, did about as much as you can there. Brown just hits a really tough shot. Should they have made a more concerted effort to foul?
I feel like if he doesn't make that shot, we talk about what a great job Siakam did not fouling him. Because it's not like it's a good shot.
Yes.
It almost feels a little bit like how we talk about Dame's shot over Paul George. Like you're so far back. He's still in your face. His hand is in your face. It is a bad shot 70 to 80% of the time because that ball doesn't go in. But because it went in, we have to sit there and be like, that was a great shot. You should have fouled him. So for me, it's like Pascal decided not to foul there. If that doesn't go in, which probably 80% of the time, a fadeaway flailing Jaylen Brown 3 in the corner, barely in bounds, most of the time that's not going in. So I feel like it's really more just circumstance of you should have fouled because of the result, not necessarily because of like the defense he played.
I think the other The other tough part with that, though, too, is that they had this same thing happen to them in the first round.
Yeah.
Like you had the Chris Middleton hit a shot at 3. I think they ended up winning the game anyways in overtime.
Yeah,
but
JJ brought that up. I think in the Knicks series they had it as well.
Brunson
They didn't foul. Yeah.
didn't foul. And Brunson missed. He went foul hunting. And so they've had one of these in every series now, and 2 of the 3 have been made. And so I think if that doesn't happen in the first round, maybe it's not as big of a deal for Rick Carlisle. But the fact that it happened to him against Milwaukee, everybody screams, "Why didn't you foul? Why didn't you foul?" That is such a tough play to make, and the instincts there. You're right, the Brown didn't go up right away, but how the hell is he supposed to know the Brown's not going up right away?
I know.
So if you reached a foul for the pump fake, then he's getting 3 free throws, and they got a chance to tie the game, and the whole point of fouling is gone. That was such a give Missoula credit. That dude's a weirdo, and he watches the town too often. That was a great design and a great pass from Drew Holiday to set that up.
It was. Holiday was excellent in that game.
Yes, he was.
He saved them in that game, and my final point is foul, no foul. You can debate that all day. Halliburton, what are you doing? You took a bad shot under a minute left, and you had the stupidest turnover where you fall into Mike Breen's lap. I'm just like,
his game-tying or a game-winning attempt at the end of regulation was such a bad possession.
What are we doing?
He got locked up like he didn't want to shoot it too early, but there was only 6 seconds left, and I'm like, dude, just go up. Why are you dribbling yourself into a double team and forcing a tough shot over Tatum?
You just hope that they didn't blow the series there, and I know they've been down 0-2 in some of these series, but it's a little different when it's the Celtics versus the Knicks, who are kind of a mash unit at that point.
And eventually, I don't know when, maybe it's not this series, but at some point you get Porzingis back, maybe in game 4.
Sounds
it's a different
like,
animal,
Woj said
right?
that,
So if you're down 2-1 and they get Porzingis back, that would have been a huge one to flip the momentum and get it, and it was a bummer it didn't happen.
Boston goes up 1-0. Coming up next, don't always meet your heroes, but first, Will with the Sports Update. kind. And it's coming at 8 a.m. because at 8:15 we've got Joe Freeman of OregonLive.com who's covering the Pac-12 baseball tournament. Obviously covers the Bees, but he'll be covering the Ducks as well, I'd imagine, given the Ducks are the 3 seed. And so we'll talk with him at 8:15. It is going to be a roundabout stat or story.
Yes, a round robin.
I'll be very curious to see who has the best stat or story. Why is
that playing?
What is it?
I think that's our YouTube feed.
Is it coming through the work computer?
Somehow the work computer is playing audio.
I didn't know those had volume.
I didn't either.
That scared me so bad. I'm looking around like, what hotkey did
I
I
was
hit?
like, what tab do I still
Dirt's
have
computer
open?
was open. I'm like, don't be porn, Dirt.
We're just playing porn
Not right
over
now.
here. Hey,
It's
what's
the
going
Luca press conference all over again.
What is happening right now? I'm a little excited.
Sometimes they say don't meet your heroes. And yesterday, something popped out in sports that said as much. There is a woman who has filed a lawsuit against the Charlotte Hornets and Lamelo Ball. According to the lawsuit, she brought her son near where the players park, and he was standing outside, a young man, and he was excited. He wanted to meet Lamelo and try to get an autograph. As a kid who once did this and used to go where they load up on the bus for the away teams and the home team, I can relate. I used to do this all the time. And according to her, Tamara McCrae claims her son Angel Joseph was standing outside of the Caldwell Street side of the Spectrum Center after a game, hoping to get autographed. She says Ball pulled out of the parking lot and was immediately stopped by a stoplight. That's when her son approached the purple Rolls Royce driven by Ball. Ball then allegedly made eye contact with the boy before operating the vehicle in a grossly negligent and reckless manner, peeling off at the light and running over her son's foot, breaking it.
It's my hero!
And went from hero to zero because they're filing a lawsuit against the Hornets and Lamelo Ball.
Look, this is when you knew you grew up in a good era. Cliff Robinson would never do this to me. Growing up, going to Blazer games and asking for his headband or his autograph. This would never happen. I didn't know that this was a thing. I mean, I saw the story, and then all of a sudden, I'm like scrolling yesterday, trying to keep an eye on what's going on. And there's all these different videos of him driving out of their player parking lot.
He's kind of an a-hole when he drives.
Like, dude, he comes out going 50 miles an hour and just peels it around the corner. And there's all these fans that are standing there trying to get autographs and trying to say something to him or get a look at him. Every time he pulls out, it's a different car. It's like a Hummer with lights on the bottom, some Phantom that probably costs more than my entire family is worth.
Financial responsibility is what you're telling me.
It's exactly what I'm telling you. For a guy who's played 48 games in the last 2 years and doesn't know where his health is going to be in the years going forward. I will say this. This is the first time I've thought about or heard the name Lamelo Ball in a while. I hope this kid wins the lawsuit. One of the best things that's happened in American society is the fact that that family has been somewhat, if not mostly, forgotten. The dad has disappeared and is no longer booked on national talking shows. We don't have to hear him debating on Colin Cowherd with Christine Leahy anymore.
Whether he's better than Michael Jordan.
Whether he could beat Michael Jordan one-on-one. And we sent the only healthy son that he has. One of them's in jail, right? Didn't his other kid get arrested for something?
He's not in jail. He's doing a podcast.
Okay, he's doing a podcast.
With his brother.
Okay, they're doing a podcast together. One of them can't stay healthy. And then one of them went to the most remote and irrelevant place in the entire National Basketball Association.
I would argue they both can't stay healthy.
Sure,
how many games did you say he's played in 2 years?
48 in the last 2 years.
By the way.
36 2 years ago, 22 this last year.
The Hornets gave him that 5-year, $200 million contract so quickly, and I'm
Have fun. That's what happens when you're desperate. The Hornets have never been relevant.
He's exciting, but I don't know if I've seen anything that's franchise guy right there.
It's a trustworthy locker room guy running over the feet of fans as they wait for your autograph to say hello to you.
He's played 48 games. He just got an entire back tattoo that says rare one.
He's gonna. What are we rare at?
Running rarely playing is what I would say.
I'm so glad that this family's not in the news anymore. I hope this kid wins a lawsuit. You imagine going...
It's 25 G's, by the way. Not looking for a whole lot.
No, it's probably the pain, damage, and suffering that you deal with a broken foot. I don't know if the kid has health insurance or any sort of medical coverage. If you don't, you got to pay the hospital bills.
I had I was going across the street back to the Moda Center years ago. It kind of date the era that I'm talking about. And as I was crossing, I almost got hit by former Blazer point guard Jeff McGinnis.
Jeff McGinnis.
Yeah.
Blazer legend.
He was in a all-white Benz with the most tinted windows, and he rolled his window down. I was like, are you good? And I was like, Yeah, I love you, Jeff McGinnis.
Can I have your autograph?
He's like, thanks, man. No, I had nothing for him to sign. It caught me off guard.
Sign your forehead. Sign your T-shirt.
And look, I understand the other side of the argument, like don't have your kid near where motor vehicles are moving and operating. I understand that part, but I would also say, like, you're a pro athlete. You know there's usually a ton of fans in these areas. Go out real slow, and you can sign. You can choose not to sign.
Yeah, if you don't want to sign autographs, that's fine.
You know, you could be the guy in the Jerry Maguire airport. I only sign Skybox Blue Deck cards, kid. Like, you can do that if you want, but don't be an a-hole when you're driving, especially near a bunch of kids and fans that, yeah, you can blow them off or you can just slowly roll past them. What are we doing?
LaMelo feels like the guy who he's in that big purple Rolls Royce that everyone has seen that gets super upset when people start flocking to him. He's like, I don't get it, man. All these fans just keep finding me. They won't leave me alone. They won't let me just live my life. I'm just trying to be a normal person.
Just trying to get home, man. It's a long day at work. I want to go home.
You know what I would say? Really sad for the kid to break a foot, and it sounds like he was pretty bummed that his favorite player
it's
did
his
this.
Favorite player, man. Imagine taking your kid to see their favorite player. They get all. I don't know who your daughter's favorite, NBA player or WNBA player is, but like you go to a Caitlin Clark is at the Rose Garden.
She's in Seattle today.
She's in Seattle. Yeah. You go up. Oh my God, Caitlin Clark. Let's go get her autograph. Let's go wait outside. She pulls out of the parking lot going 60 miles an hour and runs your daughter's foot over.
If Jerry Rice would have done this to me, I would have been devastated. I'm like, he hates me, and I don't know why I like him, and I would have been crushed. But
you realize as you get older, they're all basically jackasses, but there's a bit of innocence with kids that you want to keep alive.
What I would say to the lady, and we'll go to NFL zigger-zag on this. What I would say to the lady is, encourage your kid to like better players. I mean, come on, Lamelo Ball.
Who else does Charlotte have?
I mean, Brandon. Well, I know Brandon Miller's been checkered past, but it checked out. And turns out he didn't really know what was going on.
Still got the one guy who beat the crap out of his girlfrione. Is he still
Miles
on the,
Bridges?
Yeah,
yes,
they
brought him back.
He's still on the roster.
Brandon Miller.
Yeah,
Brandon Miller.
Accessory to.
No.
No.
LaMelo might be the most squeaky clean guy.
Maybe.
That's debatable.
Is Nick Batum still there?
They wish.
They could use him. I now want to go Google this. What autograph do you want him to go get? Let me pull up the
Brandon Miller.
Brandon Miller's
It'd have to be Brandon Miller because he was first team all rookie team. He had a great year.
How dare you? Scary Terry's there.
Scary Terry's a Miami Heat.
Oh, he is? I just pulled up the.
He got traded at the
he got 30 games.
When you don't watch the regular
games.
season, you don't know these things, Dirt.
What about Trey Mann? Is he still there?
All right, NFL zigger-zag.
Seth Curry's a Hornet. What are we doing?
NFL zigger-zag next on The Fan. Conference finals. Some news popping out this morning. Got a couple things of news that have popped out. There's a Ross Dellinger thing that we can get to today. There's another thing in relation to a league that we'll get to today. But it's time for NFL zigger-zag.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Dirt, I'm liking my NFL zigger-zag today.
Cooked up a good one?
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready.
Read a good piece on Bo Nix to start in Denver this week by Jeff Legwold. And just went into Bo Nix's experience at his rookie minicamp. Sean Payton relating Nix to, I thought this was interesting. He related him to a golfer. So just watching him grow, develop. He's very patient with the way he plays football.
That he went through tough moments that he had to build through. Yeah,
I thought it was a good comp by Payton. And Nix right now is 28-1 to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Dirt zigger-zag on taking a bet on Bo Nix to win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I love Bo Nix. I hope he has a great career. I'm rooting like hell for him in Denver. I'm zagging on that, though.
Not even a small unit on it, huh?
Not even a small
unit. $5 at 28-1?
I just think it's so hard for rookie quarterbacks to come in and have a great year right out of the gate. C.J. Stroud has us all twisted up like a pretzel, like that's a reality that can happen more often than not. And it doesn't even mean if you have a bad rookie year that you're going to have a bad career. Like, so many great quarterbacks have had horrendous rookie seasons and gone on to really good careers. C.J. Stroud is the absolute outlier. It was a perfect situation, a perfect storm. This dude's in the same division as Mahomes. He's in the same division as Justin Herbert. And you look at all these great wide receivers that are coming into this year's class, one of those guys is going to pop, I think, for 1,300 yards this year. Likely going to win the award if it's not for Caleb Williams. If Caleb Williams has a passable year and a really good situation in Chicago, weird to say that, he'll win the award as well. I think Bo could be good. I wouldn't be willing to place a bet on that.
Marcus Spears had this to say on NFL Live yesterday.
I don't know if he's ever going to return to the player in Houston. That player in Houston was a guy we had on the same pedestal with Patrick Mahomes. I'm not sure if he ever gets back to that point with his production and the things he was doing. This is a show-me year for Deshaun Watson. And look, unfortunately, his availability has been rocked by some injuries, significant injuries, by the way, that you can't perform with. But you said it, Tim, 5-year, $230 million, that's a financial anchor. We going to be the hell with that anchor if he don't perform well, or if he's unavailable. Listen, this is the National Football League, and I get it. We've had a lot of nuance and a lot of discussion about Deshaun Watson getting back to the point where he's playing at a high level. He has to play at a high level this year. This is the year of demarcation.
Zigger-zag, this is the year of demarcation for Deshaun Watson.
I would have argued last year was the year for demarcation, and they won with him playing, but he wasn't a big part of that. They ran the ball. They played good defense. I think they were 5-1 in his 6 starts last year, but you wouldn't point to him being the reason why they were winning those games. I don't know how much more evidence you need. It's crazy because he's only 28 years old, so it's not like he's over the hill, but how many more years are we going to do this? We all said the same thing going into last year. Hey, we'll give him a year. It was, he sat out for a year, and then he came back and played, and then he got hurt. It was tough. This is the year he's going to pop off. He played 6 games last year, and he was terrible. He barely completed 60% of his passes.
He is in 2 seasons, Dirt, 14 touchdowns, 9 picks.
So he played 2,200
yards and has a 59.6 completion percentage.
I don't need any more evidence. The guy's washed. He sucks. I don't know if it was the off-the-field stuff. I don't know if it was him sitting out for a year. I don't know what the hell happened. His last year in Houston, he was an MVP candidate, and all this stuff obviously fell apart for him personally and professionally. It's going to go down as one of the worst contracts in the history of professional sports.
Let's go to New York, where the Jets are getting a ton of attention. Their quarterback declined to be the VP running mate for RFK because he thinks he can still get it done. And their cornerback feels even stronger, saying the Jets have the players and the coaches to win the Super Bowl. Dirt zigger-zag, the New York Jets get to at least the divisional round this coming season.
I'll zag on that. That's an easy bet. You got a 40. How old is Aaron Rodgers now? 42, 43? What are we up to?
I think he's going to be 40 or 41.
Is he only going to be 40 or 41?
Yeah, it's somewhere in that ballpark. All
right, let me
I
Google
don't think he's quite Brady yet.
You got a 40-year-old. He's 40. He turns 41 in December.
There you go.
So he'll turn 41. You got a 41-year-old quarterback coming off of a brutal injury. You have an offensive line who I know you've tried to improve, but time will tell on that. I'm going to wait and see. I'm not going to believe that the Jets all of a sudden have a great offensive line. Their defense is good. I think their head coach is unproven. I don't think they have a trustworthy offensive coordinator. And you have a quarterback who continues to come out and say, let's focus on football. By the way, do you know what the government did in the 1980s? Like, he just, like, pick your lane and stay in it.
I know.
And he wants to do this whole, well, it's the off-season, these are promotional things. This guy literally at the end of the year did a press conference where he said, you know, we really need to buckle down and just focus on football. This needs to be all about football. And then he spent the entire offseason considering if he wanted to be the vice president for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Like, what are we doing here, man? This is insanity. No, they're not going to the divisional round.
Quickly, are you bummed? Has he lost you? He used to be your GOAT.
Yeah, he lost me. No, I mean, I still will always appreciate the player that he was.
The ability
this
is
stuff's Looney Tunes.
insane.
Dude, nobody asked him a follow-up in the press conference yesterday. He said he seriously considered being his VP.
I know.
And nobody asked to, like,
There's a lot of that in the media. No follow-ups to any of the ridiculous things we hear.
He said it was either being the VP and retiring or keep playing, and I came close. It's like, well, how close? Did you really? What?
And finally, let's wrap it up in Seattle. A lot of talk of the Niners, the Rams. Seahawks got a new coach, new regime. And Nate Tice said this on the Kevin Clark podcast.
Grubb uses all the good stuff that you want to see in an offense. Tempo, a changing of tempo, I should say. They will go hurry up, but then they also go hurry up and slow it down. Then they'll just huddle. They use that very well, using cadence very well. They use the run game, too. It's not just all chuck it down the field. The run game is very sound. That's really what it comes down to, is that the rules translate. It's very sound football. It's not gimmicky. There are RPOs, but it's just a sprinkling of RPOs, just like they are in the NFL. It's good play action stuff. It's good drop back stuff. So, like, I'm throwing out all these terms because what I'm trying to say is that all the stuff that you need in NFL offense, Washington already showed.
I'm pretty excited to actually watch Ryan Grubb and Seattle's offense this year. I'm not a Seahawks fan, but I'm still excited to see it. Dirt zigger-zag, Seattle will have the second best offense statistically in the NFC West this year.
I zag on that hard.
Oh.
I do.
Look, hesitate.
The Niners, like,
and Jigba could take a big step.
He could. I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying they're going to be bad offensively.
Offensive line might have gotten better.
Sure. I don't think offense is their question. I think defense is their defense is one of the worst in the NFL
I'm asking
last year.
an offensive question, not a team question.
But I know we want to do this every year to the 49ers. Until I see the 49ers fall off the face of the cliff, are they going to be a better offense than the 49ers?
I said second. So you can put whoever you want at first.
Sean McVay's won a Super Bowl. Ryan Grubb had a really good year at Washington.
All right.
Sean McVay's won a Super Bowl.
Okay.
Is Matthew Stafford still their quarterback?
He is.
Do they still have Puka Nacua?
They do.
Okay.
Do
they still have Cooper Kupp? Yeah, is he pretty good?
Yeah. Kyron Williams.
Did they get to the divisional round of the playoffs last year? Or wild card round?
Wild card. Because the Lions lost to the Bucs.
Did they almost win?
No, they didn't get the divisional round.
Yes.
No. I got you.
Yes.
Did they get to the wild card round of the playoffs last year?
They did.
Yeah. Did the Seahawks do that? Look, to me, it's a quarterback thing. I think they have the third best quarterback in the division.
Ahead of Kyler.
Yeah, I would put Geno ahead of Kyler. I have no faith in Kyler Murray at all. He can't stay healthy and play relevant football late in the season. I would take Geno over him right now. To me, though, Seattle's issue is not offensively. I'm excited to see what Ryan Grubb can do. I love their backs. I love their weapons. I think the offensive line could be better. I don't think Geno Smith's a long-term answer there. Their defense was one of the worst in the NFL last year. They couldn't stop the run. They weren't good up front. Maybe it's improved. They address it in the draft. We'll see. But if Seattle wants to make any sort of noise this year, it has to start on that side of the ball.
Ian Furness once said Geno is better than Brock Purdy. So if that's true, it'll bust out this year in the Ryan Grubb system. There's NFL Zigger-Zag. We do it every Wednesday at 6:45. Loaded second hour of the show. Got some newsy things popping up this morning. A preview of this matchup to come. Second hour, Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
Need assistance with door and window
Com. Good morning. Hope everybody's coffee's good, or your energy drinks, or whatever it is that gets you going in the morning.
I still have not eaten the bagel. The bagel's still there.
Just throw it. Just
still
toss it,
staring
dude.
me in the face.
That thing is stale now.
It's not
It's on
stale.
hospice right now,
It's
dude.
still,
Come on.
it's
Put it
still
down.
going strong. I don't want to. My dog's still
Turn
alive.
it to glue.
Okay? My dog is still walking around the house. He's
Yeah.
having a good life.
You've turned into the dog owner that refuses to do the thing that's probably best for the dog, but the hardest for you, and now you're lifting a dog and carrying it because it can't physically walk
I'm
anymore.
going to build it a new set of stairs to get up and down to the bed.
And as somebody who has seen somebody do that firsthand,
Yeah, it's not
it
good.
actually makes you really uncomfortable
Yeah.
and like a little frustrated. Like, hey, I get it's hard.
Just throw
My
it away.
dog is still my background, and I
Yeah.
have a new dog.
I don't know.
So I get it, but
not easy to
do. Put it down.
I do want to defend my honor a little bit here because I'm probably going to end up eating this bagel. Let's be honest. This bagel's probably going to get eaten. We all know me. Well, we don't need to go into it any more than that. One listener did tweet us and ask if it was an open face on the ground situation. And I would hope that you would think that much of me, that if it was an open face bagel on the ground, that I would immediately throw that out. That's a different ballgame.
Because there'd
for
be
me.
little rocks and dirt
in
stuff
the
on your
cream cheese. There's
yeah.
nothing in it's a closed sandwich bagel. That's
Yeah.
how I eat my bagels. And so it was just the outside of the bagel that hit the ground, not the cream cheese part. That would have been an immediate throwaway.
Wait a minute. I get closing the bagel
Mhm.
when you have cream cheese. I kind of do the same thing if it's on the go. It's easy to grab.
Yeah.
You eat it closed
Oh, I'm a closed bagel guy. I like it. I like a bagel sandwich.
with just cream cheese?
You mash up extra cream cheese in there. I get double the cream cheese. It's nice and thick. You eat it quicker. I don't need a side and a side. Come on, just throw it in the mouth.
I like the side. It makes me feel like I got more, that I get more out of
You
it.
ate more food?
Yeah, kind of
I'm
makes
more
me
of a
think that.
time efficient guy. I'm like,
Sure.
I don't got time to eat two sides. I'm just going to eat one big bagel.
Well, you claim to be a fat, and so maybe that just is a way for you to eat more in the day. I don't know.
Call me. I'll come over and eat it. I bet it's delightful.
It is delightful.
It is.
Will Dirt eat the bagel? We'll continue to wait and see. He hasn't touched it yet.
TBD.
We've got some news coming out in college football that nobody wants to keep talking about, but it is news nonetheless. We might be going to something that could save the sport or destroy it, depending on your viewpoint.
Yeah.
And we've got some other news that makes me excitedly sad, is how I best could describe that.
Okay.
So we'll get to all of it. It is a loaded segment. No ticker at 7:30. We're going to move our fine friends at Pelican Brewing Company to 8:15 this morning. And Joe Freeman's going to join us. The Oregon State and Oregon baseball teams kick off the Pac-12 tournament play for themselves today. We had things underway yesterday morning. So Oregon State has their matchup. Oregon has theirs. And so Joe Freeman will join us live from that tournament. It's the last Pac-12 thing happening ever.
This is it. It's all over.
And then everybody goes to their own conferences, and a couple of the teams stay within the Pac-2. We touched on some conference final stuff with Pacers Celtics. Indy blowing that game last night, just devastating. Foul, no foul. You could debate it, but I would argue more of a problem that your point guard can't quite literally dribble the ball. And he lost it and cost his team a possession where you probably iced the game at that point.
Yeah, I mean, you're up by three. I want to say they were still up by three.
They were up by
for both
three.
turnovers,
Yeah.
and then you did it again on the inbounds pass. You just inbound one of those, or you don't turn the other ball over, or you call a timeout and just reset. You win the game.
Do we end up getting a good series out of this, or did that Boston escape and now they put the pedal to the metal? Indy's pretty tough. I'll give them credit. They a lot tougher than I thought they were going into the last series against New York.
Yeah.
And they were able to come back from 0-2 holes and win the series. So this Indy team to me is tough. But do you think Boston kind of had one of those weird, we've been off for a couple more days, clunky rust games?
I wonder how much of it, too, is probably going into it with the mentality when they beat Cleveland last week. What the conversations we were all having in the sports world was, can New York push Boston? And I wonder how much of that was in Boston's head, too. They probably thought they were going to play the Knicks. The Knicks were up 3-2 in that conference finals series. And all of a sudden you turn around, you're like, oh, okay, we're playing the 6-seeded Pacers. It's a different matchup. I am hopeful, man. I would love nothing more than Boston to lose this series.
Boston shot 33% from three. They also had 30 free throws to Indiana's 10.
I believe Indiana was pacing for a while until the game went to overtime to have the lowest free throw total in like the last however many years in playoff history. Late in the fourth quarter, I want to say they only had 6. Like they were not getting to the line at all.
Was it I'm blanking, but there was a regular season or a playoff game. Didn't we have one where a team shot Like a whole game, there was 2 total? Was that a regular season
That was a
game?
regular season game.
Right.
I think that was a Bucks game at the end of the regular season, and nobody cared, and they just didn't blow the
2
whistle.
free throws the whole game, I think it was.
Let me find this. So this was the fewest free throw attempts in a playoff game this postseason was 6 so far.
Oof.
Through 51 minutes of the game, that's when I saw the tweet. They had 3. They ended up with, what'd you say, 10? Because I think a chunk of those came in overtime as well. I would love to see Boston lose. I would love to be wrong on this take that Boston is going to kind of steamroll their way to the NBA Finals. My feeling on the series didn't change a ton after game 1. I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being similar to Denver-LA last year, where it's not an overly competitive series when you just look at the end result, but every game in and of itself is competitive.
It's a close down to the wire, but it might end up being 4-0
right.
Boston.
Or a 5-game series and Boston wins, but you look back and you're like, dude, Indy could have won game 1. They probably should have won game 3. They could have won game 4. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we end up saying. Again, I hope I'm wrong, because Boston falling short of the NBA Finals and Tatum being exposed as the fraud that he is once again this postseason would bring me more joy than anything, and it would help my Minnesota Timberwolves steamroll their way to an NBA championship. But I have a hard time seeing Indiana bouncing back from that one, man. That was a really tough loss.
We'll get to that Dallas-Minnesota game here in a second. Aside, where does the Pacer logo rank for you guys? Because I think I love it.
It's up there.
I mean, it just feels perfect.
It's in the category of most underrated logos in sports.
The P with the flying ball into it.
The color scheme is great. Everything about the Pacers is really, their uniforms are good.
The name, it kind of fits
the
everything.
Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, for the 500.
See what you did there.
They're kind of unique, right? Like, there's not a whole lot of yellow and blue teams, but I never really thought about the logo like that.
The logo's just sweet.
You're probably right. It's
a sweet
underrated.
logo. Yeah.
And it never changes. It's not like it's been different. It has been that same look. I need to properly rate it.
To give you a look into Indianapolis sports radio, I turned on their station, the one that we have Kevin Bowen from.
Yeah.
And their morning show was wrapping up Colts talk, and then they were teasing Indy 500 talk, and I went, man, a 25-minute drive in, and I didn't get any Pacers talk on this show. That's just bad timing by me, or the Pacers are just third in this conversation.
Maybe everybody was so depressed that they just didn't want to talk about it. Like, let's just move on from that one and act like Halliburton didn't dribble the ball out of bounds with 30 seconds to go in the game with a 3-point lead. God. Now Will's got me thinking, so I'm rolling through right now.
Blue and yellow?
Blue and yellow team. So the Chargers are blue and yellow. They changed their colors to blue.
Yeah. Different blue.
Yeah.
Different blue, not the same.
Rams are yellow and blue.
Well, the darker yellow and blue, yeah.
That's a new one, though, because they came back to L.A.
Do we count the Brewers as yellow and blue?
Yes.
Yellow and blue?
The Brewers are in this.
Okay.
Yep.
They have different. It's just funny because some of these teams, like the Chargers, are that way. They have like 3 different shades of blue. It's not one shade of blue.
Right.
The Brewers are kind of that way. They have their darker blue, then they have the lighter blue unis that they wear sometimes. I don't think there's anybody else in the. I'm looking.
Is there hockey? Oh, the St. Louis Blues.
St. Louis Blues.
Aren't they a blue and yellow, kind of similar?
But they're more blue-yellow, where like the Pacers are yellow-blue.
Sabres could probably fall into this category. There's a bit of yellow-blueness there.
Yeah, that's new too. Because remember, like
Hasek years, they were black.
They were
changed,
black and
yeah.
red.
They've changed many times.
They should not have changed from the black and red.
I
they
agree.
were awesome with Hasek
I
and
agree.
the black and
not
red.
a lot of blue. Not a lot of blue and yellow. Not a lot of blue and yellow out there.
What are we going to make of tonight? I tend to. I said this yesterday, and so far it's aging okay. Maybe these series are better than we think. And Dallas, to your point, you had said you think Dallas can push Minnesota a little more than Indy. Indy damn near won that game last night. I'm pretty excited to see what Luka and Kyrie and the supporting cast do against a team that has the length, has the athleticism, and kind of just has a lot of FU dog in them. Whereas I think you can look at Dallas sometimes and that can fizzle from moment to moment. Luka is clearly banged up, but we don't hear about it when he has a good game. We only hear about it when he has a bad game. What are you excited for, looking forward to tonight between Dallas and Minnesota?
Honestly, I think the thing that I'm most excited for is hopefully getting a chance to watch Anthony Edwards primarily guard Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving.
He's going to guard Kyrie.
Long stretches of the game.
That's what he wants to do, is guard the point guard, because he's a little longer, he's taller, he's athletic, he can catch up if he gets caught in a move.
That to me is the difference. We have these debates about a lot of who's the new face of the NBA and who's going to be the next big guy when Kevin Durant, LeBron, and Steph Curry move on. I think there's something in this country that we relate to with a elite two-way player. And there's some guys who are in this category, like who we know are some of the best offensive players. Like James Harden was this way. Like there's nobody doubt he foul hunted a little bit, but nobody doubted his offensive ability. I think Luka Doncic is in this category. He's an elite offensive player. He doesn't impact the game as much on the other end of the floor. Whereas I thought in Game 7 between Denver and Minnesota, you saw Anthony Edwards have a really rough shooting first half. They were down big. He knew he didn't have it going offensively. And what did he do in the second half? He locked up Jamal Murray.
He clamped him down.
Said, I'm taking one. Your number 2 option, he ain't scoring in the second half.
Put him in handcuffs, he said.
And until the garbage time layup, he had 4 points in the second half of that game. He was completely locked up. So Anthony Edwards, I know he's going to have his good nights offensively. He's going to have a game or two where he goes off, but watching him dig in defensively is what makes him so unique in the modern game, where there's just not a lot of guards that do it that way on both ends of the floor, and I can't wait to watch that matchup. But I think this series has a chance to be the better, longer series, just because Luka Doncic is so good offensively that you feel like he's going to will you to a couple of wins in this series.
Yeah.
Minnesota can go cold sometimes shooting the ball. They can have weird fouls from Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. So I think we're in for a long, really fun series.
Yeah, a couple games in their series against Denver, they just clunky offensively. It just, you look and you're watching like, what are you guys doing? You're just passing and then like waiting, and when they move and they're moving the ball, you just it flows so much better. I've gone back and forth between I think Minnesota can win this in 5. And the reason I say that is Cat and Gobert. I mean, Lively had a great series against Oklahoma City.
They don't have a lot of size in Oklahoma City.
Well, he's tall. He's athletic. He's a great story. But size-wise, how he matches up physically with Rudy and Cat, it's not close. They could bully that.
Yeah.
And behind Lively, who do you go to? Gafford, he's cool, but sometimes a little untrustworthy. But I also think it could go 7 because I give Luka and Kyrie hasn't had. People were pointing to his series like, oh, he's not having a good series. I thought he was. I just thought he was facilitating and operating within what was being given to him.
Yeah, he's playing in the system really well.
He struggled shooting the ball in a few of those games for sure, but he wasn't like shooting 27 times and 6 for 27, right? Yeah. It was more in the flow of, 4 of 12. Could have shot more, but he didn't. He didn't press it, and so he would operate within what was given to him. And I think he's been doing that throughout this playoff. Obviously, he had a better output against the Clippers than he did Oklahoma City. But him and Luka are just so damn good. And as good as Jaden McDaniels is, and Alexander Walker is off the bench for them, Naz Reid, another big for them. That's going to be a real challenge, I think, for Dallas to defend.
Mm-hmm.
Luka just has this ability, and so does Kyrie, to swing things. And if Minnesota goes through these points or these games where they struggle offensively the way they did against Denver and allowed Denver to win 3 straight, you could be looking at 7. So I'm still kind of stuck as we sit right now at 7:15. Do I think this is a 5-game series where it's kind of like what you said with Indy Boston? It's a close one.
Every game's competitive.
It feels good, but it's over in 5 because of the sheer just size and athleticism of Minnesota. And I think the underrated part here is the competitive FU nature of them. Or do I think Luka, Kyrie are special enough to push this to 7, and anything goes in a game 7? So Minnesota might be the better team, but Dallas prevails because their 2 best players are better than Minnesota's 2 best players.
Well, I know Siakam has a lot of playoff experience and has won a title, but I'm trying to think outside of that, anybody else on Indiana been here before or gone through
Turner's
these
been
runs?
There. He's just been a player for a long time.
Sure.
He doesn't have this kind of experience.
A lot of first-round exits,
but he's been
in the playoffs.
He's not. He had a great game yesterday.
He did. He was awesome yesterday. But that was something I was thinking about too. Of like, you had the ball in the hands of Halliburton late in that game. He's never been in this spot before. And so I don't think he's going to just dribble it off his foot out of bounds multiple times, but there's just a different animal when you're on the road, game 1 of a conference finals. It's, I know we want to make all the IST jokes of like, hey, this is our IST Pacers, but it's just not quite the same thing. That's a difference, though, between these 2 series to me. I think Minnesota's definitely the better team. But you get into a game late where Minnesota's a little clunky, Dallas has got a lead, and they can lean on Kyrie or Luka.
They've both been there.
Both been there. Kyrie's won a title. Luka's been on multiple playoff runs. He's been to a conference final.
He's 14-0 in his last 14 closeout games. Kyrie. Not that that's all Kyrie, but
sure,
he does rise to the occasion. His resume says when the moment matters. His career has largely been rise to the moment and make difficult shots or make the right play. And to what you're saying, Luka's been here before. He's gone through this. And I know Minnesota's lost in the playoffs a couple times, But I think
It's a
what you're
different
saying
run.
is
It's a different
the
animal,
conference
dude.
finals, and they're expected to win this series, Minnesota.
They're the favorite now, not the underdog.
Dallas is plus money to win this thing.
Yeah, and Minnesota was an underdog in round 1 against Phoenix. Everybody said, Phoenix probably going to win. Look at all that firepower. They swept them. Everybody picked Denver to win that series in the second round. Here we are in the conference finals. Now they got to wear the hat of the favorite. I can't wait for this one to start.
Get some college football dealings coming up on the show, but coming up next, something I'm excited and sad about at the same time. Next on The Fan.
The Fan merch.
I trade you this You get this in your life.
I get this back. I mean, it is in my life. I just don't watch Big East College Hoops on FS1 at 9 o'clock at night.
Nobody does.
Okay.
But you lose inside the NBA with Chuck, Kenny, Shaq, and Charles.
Horrible deal. Horrible deal.
You're saying no to the trade.
Horrible trade. You're going to have to throw way more in than that. Way more than that. Because here's the secret.
Basketball.
We're not even going to get it for, like, unless I'm misreading the negotiations, we're not even going to get this for the biggest games. They're not going to have an NBA Finals on NBC, are they? Are they still going to be ESPN, ABC? So not getting it.
The deal hasn't been completely hammered, but there's a report this morning from the Sports Business Journal that it is indeed going to be ESPN, ABC. Amazon's jumped into this.
Amazon's jumping in.
And NBC with the rights to the next media contract with the NBA.
I need that to play into a conference finals and an NBA finals game. And if that's not a part of the deal, then it's an immediate no, but you're already going to have to sweeten it. Inside the NBA is the best studio show in all of sports. It gets me to watch basketball content when I don't care at all about regular season basketball.
I would argue people actually stick around sometimes during the regular season to watch the show and not so much the games.
I'll turn it on and be like, there's still 2 minutes left in the game. Is it over yet? Can I watch Chuck now? Is he going to say something stupid about the women of Galveston and the fat ladies in San Antonio? Like,
he's been right, by the way. They had an oil spill in their beach, and they had such a rowdy Jeep festival that somebody got shot and killed, and there's garbage all over.
A rowdy Jeep festival?
Yeah, the Jolly Jeepers, man. They collect in different cities. I went on a Jolly Jeep excursion once.
Not so jolly.
No,
not
at
so
all.
jolly. Charles Barkley, right, on Galveston.
If you're shooting people, you're not in a good mood. This sucks, dude. This sucks. Losing inside the
pretty
NBA
terrible.
is awful, and it's one of the best things the NBA has to offer. I don't know if you guys saw, but last night was the Sports Emmys.
Yeah.
And they were handing out different awards, and the award for best studio host for a show or whatever, I don't know what the phrasing they use, it went to Ernie. And he won the award. He went up there. I listened to his speech. It was really good. I listened to anything that guy has to say. He's very thoughtful, and I really appreciate him as a host and as a person. And the way he was acting, it was somebody who clearly knew this is it. It's over. And
Charles said he had to get his LinkedIn ready as a joke.
He's been joking about it during their broadcast. And I know that they have another year. You keep reminding me of that, and that's great.
That is confirmed, right? Because
I don't know. You were the one that told me that, and I'm just running with it.
Well, I got it from somebody who works in the sports agency marketing department, and so when they said it, I assumed they were right.
Because usually they negotiate these things with a year to, like, think of the Pac-12 deal. We were trying to last summer, and there was still another year left on the deal. But even that being said, words cannot describe how pissed off I am that they are hosting. They get the conference finals, TNT does this year, and they've already announced that Draymond Green's going to be a part of their coverage. They're live on location in Minneapolis, and then eventually going to Dallas when the series goes there. The fact that Draymond Green's ruining that show with his stupid hot takes as a current NBA player.
He owes Rudy I better
he's
better
not gonna
get
say
a public
peep.
apology.
He's not going to say a peep
for his ridiculous. They don't want to. They know they can't win.
He barely apologizes for assaulting people on the floor.
That's true.
But remember, he's learned his lesson now.
He got therapy.
He's grown. Everything's okay. It's dumb. He ruins the show. I can't stand the guy. Get him off my TV. Even if I have another year of Inside the NBA, that guy ruining however many episodes I have left pisses me off.
Let's see. Trying to find it.
I mean, I'm excited to have Round Ball Rock back. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, and it's a great theme.
It's a great
but
song.
You're not going to have that show.
Yeah. One of them has to go higher up. It won't be the same without Ernie, because Ernie said he's not leaving TNT.
I love Ernie's loyalty. I do. Come on. You can't work out a deal with Turner to say, can I split?
Yeah. There's a lot of people that do that. I mean, look at Kirk Herbstreit, who does Amazon and ESPN. There's a lot of people that do that.
I'm to the point where the ESPN, ABC games are happening, and I love me some Breen. And Reddick and Doris have been fine. I did see Andrew Marchand wrote an article about how the broadcast has suffered without Jeff Van Gundy on it. And I'm like, yeah. But when they go to halftime or pregame, postgame, I ain't watching a second of that stuff.
Not watching.
No, thank you. What you're going to give me, a minute for 4 takes and then be like, we're back after that. It's like, that's not a show. It's an advertisement with a break in advertising for, I guess, content. Like, It's more centered around the commercials than it is the actual show itself. This is where all of the sports landscape is detrimental for us sports fans. Whether it's hockey or basketball or the NFL, all of this stuff, it just doesn't matter as much as we love it. Like they did this, I hate to say it, but they did this to Good Morning Football.
Yeah.
I used to wake up every day and I will turn my TV on. It'd be on, mute with closed captioning because I don't want to wake my family up. At 4 a.m., getting up, kind of operating.
Yeah, what's going on this morning in the NFL?
Kyle Brandt, Peter Strager, McCourty, Nate Burleson, Kay Adams,
for a while,
It was on. And now they go to L.A. and I don't even know what the show is or is going to be. And they're doing this to inside the NBA. And it's only a bummer for us. They just care about the almighty buck and how much more they can make out of this. And they're going to make a ton of money.
Yes, they are.
It was noted by Brian Windhorst when he started covering the NBA, the salary cap was $57 million per team. We are in a point where SGA and Luka, when they get their max deals for making All-NBA,
they're making more than that.
They're going to make $81 million a season. We will within the next decade.
What?
You want your mind blown? We will within the next 6 to 7 years. We will be at a point where a player will be making $100 million in a season.
That is insanity.
So to give you context of how much it's grown financially, yes,
absolute insanity.
But what's the cost of this? The cost is we lose the best studio show to ever exist.
Somebody will scoop them up, but it won't be the same without Ernie. If ESPN was smart, they would make the immediate play.
They won't do it because they don't dabble in show. They dabble in commercials for live sports content. They've made that decision.
Yeah.
If they cared about their halftime, postgame, pregame, they wouldn't be doing it the way they're doing it. But as they do it, it's a 2-minute segment, cut to commercial for 4 minutes, come back, 2-minute segment,
about something.
cut to commercial, go back to the game. That's their halftime show, and that model is not entertaining in any way.
No
matter who you put on that panel.
No, you do that setting with TNT, even with those guys, it's terrible. It's just commercials. It was funny too because people were pointing out I didn't watch a ton of I had it on the iPad, so it was on mute. But the Game 7 New York, Indiana was going on at the same time as the final round of the PGA Championship, and people were joking, and this became a thing where they were asking. Malika, I think, was asking Bob Andrews questions, or Bob Myers, excuse me, about how does Indiana get back into the game? What are they, or how's Indiana going to maintain this lead? Blah blah blah. And he would just answer the questions New York based, basically saying, "Well, this is what New York's got to do," and and it just was all phrased through the New York lens, and it was another reminder of not caring much about small markets.
They took a hit. They took a hit for that. The way they handled that second round matchup, and just so pro New York.
Yeah, look, somebody's going to scoop them up, whether it's Amazon. Amazon would be great because then you get them completely unfiltered, and I would watch that, or NBC.
Amazon would be very wise to be the highest bidder to get people to want to watch Amazon Prime for that reason. Now, again, I still think Ernie should think about this and try to see if he could double dip the chip. I mean, Jim Nantz double dips the chip all the time.
Jim Nantz does it. Kirk Herbstreit does it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who end up working for two networks, and he can still do because outside
he can still do baseball if
baseball
Turner
stuff.
keeps it, by the way. And if they lose this, there's a lot of people that wonder what the future for them in sports is.
It's not a good look because their rights fees are mainly due to the ratings that they get this time of year. They get pretty good ratings for the NBA playoffs, and if you lose that, I think one of the biggest freakouts right now happening in all of sports is the NHL. The NHL tried to partner with a similar deal to the NBA because this time of year the playoffs are on every night. And if you're a sports fan, what are the channels you're going to? We're all going to ESPN or you're going to TNT because it's every other night there's a game on, or sometimes there's a game on both of them. And if you lose that footprint, if you lose that lead in, you're no longer, it's like Ricky Bobby. They're just trying to draft you a little bit, little shake and bake. That's what the NHL's trying to do, and you're losing your shake and bake, buddy. And good luck, man. That's going to be tough for that league to handle.
Yeah, it's not great. It's pretty devastating. And I love, the round ball rock theme, but
that's a great song. It will bring back the nostalgia, but it won't be the same without the snapper and Bill Walton.
Want me to make you feel old?
Yeah.
I don't remember NBA on NBC.
That's fair.
There is not a time like everyone.
Let me look up what year it stopped because that would actually make a lot of sense. How old are you right now?
I'm 26.
You're 26.
I want to say it stopped in the early 2000s. I think early 2000s was when it ended.
Early 2000s?
I want to say.
My first basketball memory is LeBron being drafted to Cleveland. That is the one that sticks out to me because that puts me at about kindergarten, first grade.
Okay, so I'm going to throw a name at you very quickly. We need to go, but I'll throw a name at you.
2002 was the final year of the deal. 2002.
I'll throw a name at you, and you don't have to think about it, just a yes or no. The name Tom Tolbert, yes or no?
Nope.
Yeah.
No.
Dates me a little bit.
Yeah, and the nostalgia will be there for us, but for people Will's age and younger, like they have no connection to this. And I would argue that's even a bigger loss for them because at least for us, going back to NBC, losing inside the NBA sucks, and that still pisses me off. But I turn on a game on a Sunday afternoon, and they're playing the song, and it's like, all right, John Tesh, let's do this.
Making me feel good.
I
yeah.
get excited. For people's Will's age and younger, there's no connection there. And you're just losing the best studio show in all of sports. So I'm pissed about this.
You didn't get the Ahmad Rashad, my main man.
Ahmad Rashad means almost nothing to me. To me, he's like Michael Jordan's coat hanger.
What?
I mean, he is Michael Jordan's friend. My main man.
That's Duck legend.
All
Ahmad Rashad
I know him for is that he used to put his shoes in Dusty's dad's locker so no one would take them.
Yeah.
And he's Michael Jordan's
Well,
friend.
he was Bobby Moore when he did that.
You're damn right he was. Inside the NBA. What happened to the good old days?
I know. Well, it's sad news, but it looks like it's going back to NBC. We got college football dealings to get to. Joe Freeman's going to join us for the ticker at 8:15. And Statter Story, a different wild rendition of Statter Story at 8 a.m. Dirt and Sprague back with more. But first, Will with the sports update.
He's down at the Pac-12 tournament, the final Pac-12 sporting event that's going down, and we'll get his thoughts on Oregon State and Oregon, who start their runs today. I do have a couple of football notes I want to get to in the final hour of the show. Saturday story coming up at 8. We need to get to the. Oh, first, by the way, I do have some breaking news. I don't know if we have
we have breaking news.
We have breaking news. I know we have a breaking news thing. Here we go.
Yeah, there it is.
Breaking news: I ate the bagel.
Peekaboo.
The bagel's gone. I ate the bagel.
It's like gone. You ate it in 2 bites.
I ate the bagel.
How was it?
Deep down, I'm fat.
Did it taste like regret?
No, not at
all. With a little bit of human urine?
There's a little something now stuck in the back of my throat. Now I'm wondering what that is. I got to take a sip of coffee.
Probably. Probably an STD.
Probably a piece of gravel in there or something.
Street fentanyl.
We're fine. We're fine. Nothing to see here.
No, dude, get right to the meat.
So the bagel's gone. There's your breaking news. And if you don't understand that, you got to go back and listen to the opening segment. But I have eaten the bagel. Let's get to this. I was going to get to a couple of football notes here, but no longer, because this is too good to pass up.
Okay.
So Jonathan Givony, we all know who Jonathan Givony is, right? Draft Express, one of the. I think we've had Givony on the show before.
We had him on one time, like 6 or 7 years ago. You cannot get him
Can't
on
get him anymore.
No.
So
impossible.
he now is an analyst at ESPN as well. He's the founder of Draft Express. So he does these mocks. He's as plugged in as anybody when it comes to the NBA draft. And he used to work with. Who now works for the Blazers organization?
Mike Schmidt.
Got it. They were employees together at ESPN.
The
Good
dynamic
friends.
duo once upon a time.
Yes, they were. So when Jonathan Givony comes out with a mock draft, it carries a little more weight than like some dude on CBS Sports that I've never heard of before that's just ranking the 10 best players in the draft.
You be nice to Kyle Boone. We might have him on. I've been trying. I can't get him to respond.
I'm almost anti all these mock draft guys because none of them will come on the show, and I don't understand it.
I don't either. I can't get
sense.
any of them to respond to
just
me.
An email back, a text back. We'd love to talk to you. We're in a market that has 2 picks in the top 14, and they won't even get back to us. Well, when Givony puts out the mock draft, we pay attention to it. So we know the Blazers have the 7th and 14th overall pick, and this was one that made us both chuckle. You pulled it up during the break of, okay, who do we got? Where, who are we taking? With the 7th overall pick, according to Jonathan Givony, he has the Blazers selecting point guard Nikola Topic. Is it Topic or Topic? Did we settle that? Topic, okay.
I'm going with Topic. I was saying Topic. I'm going Topic.
We're going Topic.
Until we hear Topic.
Nikola Topic, 7th overall pick. Then you fast forward to the 14th overall pick. Jonathan Givony, again, really good friends with Mike Schmitz.
So just take that for what it's worth, that there may be a little intel of where they would be leaning.
I believe Givony was one of the guys that had them circling sharp with 7 a couple of years ago as well. I think he hit that.
Yes, he did.
He has them taking Zach Edey.
Yeah.
Center.
Yes.
Purdue.
Yes. We needed that length.
We
Catch
need
the fever.
We need
14th overall.
And you know what? All of you are going to eat crow when Edey is a multi-all-star, all-defensive big. All right? You're all going to eat crow.
I'm still waiting to cash in my, who was the bro?
Drew
with
Timme.
Drew Timme. How's his NBA career going?
I lost that bet.
Yeah.
What was the bet?
I think it was a beer bet or a sandwich bet or something. I don't remember.
I've lost a couple sandwich bets to you lately.
Yeah, you have,
It's
Bob.
not been great.
How do we feel? We're drafting another point guard.
Well,
come on down, Topic.
Let's start with Edey. Okay, Edey, a backup big. They a lot of mocks kind of have them operating in this way, taking a center at some point. So clearly, I don't know about you, it's maybe either screaming, we need a quality backup big, or Ayton's not long for our future. That's what that's kind of telling me.
I mean, I would argue Ayton shouldn't be long for our future. We're 4 or 5 years away from winning. He had a good year. Let's capitalize and flip that into something. What happened to paperclip into a house? It's still a paperclip. Let's turn it into a house.
It's still a paperclip, but let's give it a little more time and to rebuild. It takes time. Also, you might benefit more if Ayton comes back and does the thing he did last year.
Yeah.
After a slow start and after the big freeze, he played good basketball, right?
The big freeze. I'll never forget DeAndre Ayton not making it to an NBA game.
He had a downhill driveway. What do you want from him? It's icy. We don't leave.
That was one of the funniest stories of the NBA season.
But if Ayton has a really good year next year and seems like the good, playing along with what's going on here, good locker room guy, your leverage is going to be nice. You should get a decent return for him at that point.
I would think so.
You know my stance on this. I'm sorry. I will be the lone voice here. I have no clue. I am not qualified to tell you if Nikola Topic is going to be much of anything.
How dare you?
But if Schmitz and Cronin, the Crone zone falls in love with Topic, go take the best player. You are a 21-win team. What are we doing acting like we have to draft? He's 6'6".
He's 6'6".
So the idea is at least he's tall and lengthy and he's 18. and
Yeah, this is a tall guard.
Yeah. I mean, at least he's taller than what we normally were in the 6'2", 6'3" realm. So I'm okay with it. If Schmitz and Cronin like it, go. God bless you. Go draft Topic. And if that's a deal breaker for Scoot, breaking news, maybe he ain't cut out for this. He's going to have to deal with competition his whole career unless he becomes a multi-all-star. So it may not resonate with everybody. Go get the best possible player in this draft that you can at 7. You suck. Just go get the talent. That's all I want is the talent.
Some really good text coming into the Vancouver Ford text line. Somebody saying crow sounds like Dirt will eat anything. So yeah, you're not wrong on a day like this. So I will eat the crow on Zach Edey. Somebody else is saying, Dirt, you should be excited about the Blazers having a center that you could beat in a sprint. Yeah, what's Edey's 40 time? I saw the videos of him running at the combine. I think I could beat him in a court-wide sprint. You don't think so? No chance? He moves pretty slow.
One step for him is like 5 for you. You're like,
I got.
You're quick, Kyler. You would look like Kyler Murray running next to him.
I got quick twitch legs, baby. Quick twitch legs. Okay, you got to be quick down low.
Could you shuffle faster than him though? Because
I think I could shuffle quicker than him. That looked painful.
Dirt, you might be faster, but his steps just in length would beat you.
Oh, without a doubt. It would take me 4 steps to get to one of his steps.
Don't Joe Fisher right now and act like you're faster than a 360-pound lineman. Stop it.
It would be hilarious to watch them take Topic and then not trade Anthony Simons or Malcolm Brogdon too on top of it.
I actually am all for it. Let's just get real weird.
I want 7 guards on the team next year. 7.
The dreaded 4-guard lineup.
You can't beat it. You can't stop it.
How successful would a 5-guard lineup be to you?
Not successful.
What's the operation and goal for next year?
Losing as many games as possible.
So quite literally, the unsuccessful nature would bring us more success in the draft.
Topic at the 5. He has to be. He's the only guard over 6'5".
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Topic has to be your center. You probably go Shaedon Sharp, jumping ability at the power forward. I'm going to go Anthony Simons, small forward, and then Brogdon and Scoot in the backcourt.
Well, I'm asking sincerely, though. I mean, are you really going to be outraged?
I don't know if
what are you outraged about?
I mean, I don't know if outrage is the right word, but I see your argument. Like, you're a 21 team. Who the hell do you think you are passing up somebody if you think they are going to be special? Because
force yourself to take a wing that might not be to you on how you evaluate. It doesn't make sense. And what was fun, we had Gundy on a while back, and he said, you don't take a point guard. By the end of the interview, he was naming Topic as a player he likes the most, and I'm like, if you're the general manager of a 21-win team and you're responsible for getting the most talent to be the best team you can, you're not going to take the player you think is the best? You're going to take a positional need for a team that sucks?
Right.
I get how it doesn't make sense to some, but hey, you're in it. This is your general manager. Let's see what it is. He gets all the rave reviews for his talent evaluation. So if he takes the guy, what's the criticism?
The funny thing to me out of all this is like if you're a pro Joe Cronin argument person, the main argument you're making is drafting and talent evaluation.
That's your best bet so far.
That's what you're hanging your hat on the wall on. And I think that would be the argument that you're making of trusting. Like if they like a guy at 7 and Topic is there at 7, I still don't know if he's going to get to 7. But if he gets there and you take him, you got to trust him in that. The only response that I have to that is, then why did they? What was the deal with the Scoot Henderson pick? So are we just moving on 1 year later? Because I don't envision a world in which you build a roster around 2-point guards again. And so it doesn't make sense to me to have both these guys a part of your long-term vision. So
could Topic play off ball? Is I think the point they'd have to evaluate.
Shoot?
I'd have to go look at his shooting split. He's 18.
He's an 18-year-old Serbian.
It's really hard for me to give you much stuff on an 18-year-old. I mean, playing international ball is one thing. Yeah, how many years did it take Ricky Rubio? And he was on the main stage of the Olympics against the Redeem team.
Yeah, as a young player.
Balling out. And he won he jumped off the page right away in the NBA. It took him a couple years to get his feet settled under him. I don't know. If he can play off ball and he's 6'6" and he's a playmaker, you kind of just become positionless. And you say maybe Scoot brings the ball up in the traditional sense. Topic is running around and you give him the ball and he creates for others. He helps create for Scoot. I think the dismissal of a pick like that right now, and it is early, and this could not be the pick. I mean, we're doing mock draft conversation, right?
Yeah, it feels good though.
It does feel good. I've been really doing a lot of homework on this behind the scenes, and when I'm getting home, I'm spending like 45 minutes a day just reading about all these dudes and getting as much draft content as I can. But I just don't think we need to be closed-minded. Nobody out here, you, me, any listener, any blog, podcaster, nobody's qualified to give us a thorough evaluation of Nikola Topic and what he could be. Cronin and Schmitz are. So if they think he can work off ball, with ball, playmaking guy, I mean, how nice is it to have multiple players on the court that can play make? So I think it's ridiculous to cut it off.
Jonathan Gavoni's latest mock draft. He is good friends with Mike Schmidt, so it's one to pay attention to as them taking Nikola Topic with the 7th overall pick and Zach Edey with the 14th overall pick. How would you feel about that? Your reaction is welcome. Also, technology and stuff coming finally. What took you so long? Next on The Fan. Lots to get to in the final hour of the show. Joe Freeman coming up at 8:15. We're moving Statter Story to 8 o'clock. And then I got some football notes for 8:30, including another head coach in college football who might be in trouble. I want to get to this quickly, and keep your thoughts coming. We got a poll question up, by the way, on the whole mock draft thing from Jonathan Gavoni, who is as plugged in as anybody. If there's any mock draft you're going to believe, Jonathan Gavoni is the one to believe. It appears that the NFL is finally realizing that technology exists and we have the ability to do stuff.
Technology and stuff.
And they're going to test optical tracking system for line-to-gain rulings in the preseason. Jonathan Jones had that report on CBS, and if all goes well, they will implement the technology for the regular season. And I just read this, I'm sure as everybody else did, and said, what the hell took you so long?
Will this all, because I saw this, will this also mean goal line? What's a touchdown? Is it a touchdown? Did the ball cross the plane or break the plane?
I'm assuming that it says yes. It just says line to gain ruling, so I'm assuming that means end zones as well, but the rest of the article does not say it.
Somebody had tweeted out this story when it broke, and they quote tweeted with a bunch of images of two refs pointing opposite ways, and note cards being used.
The note card guy, the fingers, you're an inch away. Sorry, an inch away. Like, how do we not? What are we doing here?
I don't know.
They will continue to use chains as the backup operation for game operations and a reference point for coaches, players, and in-stadium fans. So the chain gang, if you're working on a chain gang somewhere, you're not going to lose your job. You still will have your job. But there you go. The NFL took them long enough. How many years have we been screaming for this? You're a $1 billion company. How do you not have the technology to just put a little chip inside of a ball and say, did it or did it not get to a first down marker?
Minimum? How long have we been arguing about this? What year did we start?
2012, I want to say. 2013?
Since 2012.
It's been a long time.
Basically Will's whole life. We've been arguing about technology.
Freshman year of high school, baby. You guys been arguing.
2012, man. It's a good year. 2012 was a great year.
It was a great year.
All right, there you go. So we got a lot to get to in the final hour of the show. Joe Freeman coming up at 8:15. We will do a unique Statter Story where we're going to do a round robin. Swigart is not here today. If you're just waking up and realizing that's Will Ortner, Swag's out, and so we all came up with a stat or story.
It was a weird thing where Swag didn't ask Will to do it.
No.
And then I said, it'd be fun. I've done it a couple times, so I volunteered as tribute. And then Dirt was like, well, Sprague, I can do it. It's, my segment. And I said, well, I got one. Maybe we just do like a round table.
So we all have one stat or story, and we'll see who's got the best, who's the stumpiest stat or story. And then we'll get to, coming up at 8:30, I want to get to this private equity stuff, because where's this all going?
This is a good news for me and a bad news for you.
It is a little bit, yeah. And there's another head coach in college football. We talked about Billy Napier yesterday offering $1 million to Rashada. Now we have another coach who is in trouble. So we got a lot to get to in the final hour. Don't go anywhere. Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
No time for
The app, live on YouTube. Thanks, everybody, for watching this morning. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you don't, where you can see all sorts of content from not only our show, but all the other shows. On The Fan, Joe Freeman coming up here in a matter of moments. We'll talk to him about the Pac-12 tournament, the final sporting event for the Conference of Champions. We're going to move stat or story. We don't need to play an open or anything. Don't worry about an open. We'll just play bed music. We're moving stat. Well, it's not.
Okay.
It's already 8:02. Let's get to it. It's 8:03. Yeah, turn and burn here. I got some college football notes coming up bottom of the hour. There we go.
Hey, there it is.
So we're doing a different stat or story today where we moved it up because Joe Freeman could only go at 8:15, where we usually do stat or story. So we all came up with a stat and a story, and we'll see who ends up having the best one. Would you like me to start? Would you like me to begin?
If you'd like to start, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. You guys ready to play?
Yeah.
Your number is 27. Is it the number of pounds lost by DJ Burns since March Madness as he gets ready to go into the NBA? Remember, he was the fat guy on NC State.
I think even with 27 pounds, still kind of the fat guy.
Still fat guy, but
Yeah.
Big boy.
Or is it the age of a man who was seen eating a severed leg after a train accident in California?
The drugs have got to be just an insane level. I'm going to go stat. Oh, my God, stat.
You're going to go stat?
Stat.
Will?
That's a story.
That is the
Gonna go
age
story?
of somebody that would eat a leg, though, right? 27?
Well, look,
I mean,
I'm
I don't
26.
think, is there age-specific restrictions for eating legs?
Definitely.
Is there?
Definitely.
We were talking about this last night. I think around 26, 27, that's when you got to stop doing weird stuff like that.
That's
you
what
know?
I'm saying.
You gotta
Right
stop
when-
eating legs at 27. Put
Right
them
when
down.
people get married on purpose. That's when you got to stop doing food challenges.
Okay, well, Sprague, you get a... Will, you get a... 27-year-old Rosendo Tellez was caught removing evidence from the site after a person was struck and killed by an Amtrak train around 8 a.m. in California. As he was walking away, I believe it's in Wasco, California, wherever that is, there was disturbing video circulating on social media that showed a man who appeared to be holding a severed body part and eating from it as he wiped his face, making his way down the sidewalk. Your stat, by the way, there, DJ Byrne, 45 pounds he's lost since the end of
Wow.
March. 45. He's down 45 bills.
Is he on the Dana White plan? What's going on here?
I love, so Shams had this report.
We got our first NBA player on Ozempic?
That's hilarious.
I thought he was doing water fast.
Shams had to report today that he has not used, he's lost 45 pounds and he's not used Ozempic.
An NBA player can't do Ozempic, right? They'd get too hungry.
It might be illegal.
I know it kills your hunger, and that's kind of the point, but like when you play
don't know.
basketball at an elite level.
How do I get my hands on some Ozempic? Are there any side effects?
Yeah, there's going to be side effects.
So far, no. So
We don't know
everybody's
yet.
all in, but I'm like, I'd be careful on that.
Give me some Ozempic.
I know somebody that's done Ozempic.
Yeah, did
Just
it work?
eat a little less.
I mean, I wouldn't have classified him as somebody that you see do it.
Okay.
It
Felt like they were a little large and wanted to lose a few.
Well, they felt a certain way, obviously. I would say for them it's probably worked, and physically it's worked, but I'm still weary of it. I need to see this thing in the next 4 or 5 years.
Dude,
Get
diet
back
pills
to me.
work. What the hell are you talking about? Diet pills always work.
Pretty soon it's going to be sold at an AM PM next to the cash
It
register.
totally will be.
Just eat less.
Good for DJ Burns though, man.
Just
Down
exercise.
45 pounds, and how many we got? 2 second-round picks this year, right? The
Yeah.
Blazers do.
No, two first.
And we have 2
Oh, and
second-round
2
picks,
seconds.
don't we?
Yeah.
Let's take this guy with a second-round pick. What the hell? He was fun to watch.
If you lost 45 pounds, that would look weird.
I'd look really weird.
No, you it's fine.
45
I'm down
pounds.
70, almost 75.
Well, he's a fake fat, though. You're big. You're
You're
a
an offensive
6'4"
lineman.
guy. You're an
No,
offensive
yeah.
lineman.
You wouldn't know. Well, other than the skin, you're not going to notice it.
Just flapping around.
But he's a fake fat, so if he lost his 45 pounds, it'd be to the point where
I'd be really skinny.
I think you were sickly.
I think
Yeah.
you'd look good.
Thanks, Will.
I got
Appreciate
you,
that.
bro.
I'm not going to lose 45 pounds, but I appreciate that.
All right, that's a good one.
You like that one?
That's a good one.
Would you guys eat a leg?
No, I don't want to talk about this. It made me uncomfortable.
Their Chick-fil-A sauce.
I'm wondering what.
This stuff, if I saw this, I would probably throw up.
You would have to.
I cannot deal with blood and gore and all
I just
that
want to
stuff.
know what part of the leg he was eating. Like, where was it severed?
Hopefully the calf.
And what was he eating from?
Probably the.
Because I kind of viewed as like you cut off
thigh.
around the groin and you're like digging your head into the top of the thigh. That's kind of how I viewed it. But a calf probably more appetizing.
Do you want to go next, Will, or do you want me to go next?
You can go next.
I'll go next. Okay. Your number is 7,541.
Okay.
7,541. Is it the total career yards receiving for Seahawks wide receiver Tyler Lockett as he gets ready for year 10 in Seattle? Or is it the total pieces in the $850 Lego Millennium Falcon set that Victor Wembanyama purchased with his first NBA paycheck because he said it was the only thing he wanted to buy once he got paid?
I don't know if this is a new thing or if this has always been a thing, but I noticed this being around some Winterhawks this year. They were like super into Legos.
So I have
Are
a public,
Legos back?
I have a public
Legos
apology.
never left.
They never left?
I owe Joe Fisher, sales extraordinaire, sometime show host,
Yes.
a public apology. I made fun of his Lego building he said on air years ago.
He said he was a Lego guy.
I have not bought any, but I will tell you,
When was the last time you touched a Lego? It's been
I
a long
went to
time.
the Lego store next to Disneyland, and I wanted the Millennium Falcon that Victor Wembanyama
Was that cool?
got. I also wanted the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
What do you
There's
do?
some pretty kick-ass Lego sets.
You just build them and like put them up on a shelf? You put it in your man cave,
Like
basically?
new age models.
Yeah.
You view them as models that you used to buy at like a hobby store.
I'm going to give you a stat here, Bob. I'm going to give you a stat. That sounds about right. That seems like too many pieces, too.
Okay.
That seems like a stat. I actually don't think it's enough pieces.
Oh, two more pieces.
Okay. Where are the sounders
Hey,
at?
just tell me, am I buzzing or dinging?
Well, I don't want to tell you. That ruins the point of the buzzer.
Yeah, right there.
Okay. This is for both of you.
Wow.
No. This is a story. Tyler Lockett currently has 7,994 receiving yards headed into year 10. This is a story. First team all defensive player Victor Wembanyama told reporters he bought the $850 Millennium Falcon set with his first NBA paycheck. He's a Star Wars nerd. And it has a total of 7,541 pieces.
Yeah, the Winterhawks players would like trade Lego sets with fans would like bring different Lego sets and they would like trade after games and stuff. They were super into it. That's all they would like. We did a podcast episode around Christmas. They all just talked about the Lego sets that they got, and I was so I was like, is this a? I thought we outgrew Legos at some point. Like I didn't do Legos when I got older.
No, they've kind of stayed, but they've come out with some really cool big things that you gotta. I mean, I bought my brother a dual sports car set for Christmas. I didn't know what to get him. And so we used to do models when we were kids once in a while, and so I thought this would be a cool thing. He still hasn't even touched it, but it was $85. It was $85. And that was like a low-end set of something. You have Indiana Jones sets,
Sure.
Star Wars, flower like gardens that are upwards of $150+.
I guess I view it and the positive, but the way to view it is like people who are into puzzles.
It's that how I view it
Like
too.
you
yeah.
do instead of putting a puzzle together, you're putting together a big Lego structure or whatever. How about that?
It's a big thing with my generation. All right, your number is 17.
17.
Is that the length of Diamondback second baseman Ketel Marte's current hitting streak? Or is it the age of ASU's youngest doctoral graduate, Dorothy Jean Tillman II?
Oh, I saw this. This is a story.
It's a story?
Story.
Okay, good. I'm going to trust you. I didn't see either.
Yeah.
Give me a story.
I saw this.
I don't have a dinger, but you guys get the ding. Darn it, Sprague.
I don't have a dinger. Can that be pulled as a drop? That's a pretty good drop.
It's
right
bad
there.
luck by you that I saw this yesterday.
Yeah, I know. Look, I was scrambling for a story.
I wasn't
that
even
made
looking
sense.
for it. It
Yeah.
just stumbled across my algorithm.
Well, Chicago teen Dorothy Jean Tillman participated in Arizona State University's commencement. At the age of 17, she earned a doctoral degree in integrated behavioral health. Let's see, where else? She started taking college classes at the age of 10.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, better than what I was doing.
My kid has turned 8 today. Today is my youngest kid's birthday. Happy birthday to Nori. And I can tell you she's nowhere close to college. That's like in 2 years from now, she's going to be in college graduating? What are we doing?
Absolute insanity.
They call her Dorothy Genius. Marte's hit streak right now?
Yeah, what's he at?
20 games.
20 games.
Can I tell you, I've been following baseball more outside of my Braves bubble, which is a disaster right now. Trying not to panic. I didn't know that. I didn't know Marte was at 20.
Craziest part, his average gone down. He was hitting over 300. He is now hitting like 290 something.
Oh, that's interesting.
That still feels good to the teams, though. 290, that's like, might as well be 350 to them.
Were you guys did you have a thing when you were kids? Like my brother and I did a lot of Playmobil. Do you ever do any Playmobil when you were a kid? Basically similar to Legos and
Playmobil.
They're like little action figures, and you could like put them together, and you could do like different sets. Like there's like Western sets and different like.
Maybe I'd have to look up, see what it looks like.
That's I didn't do a lot of Legos when I was a kid.
No, no Legos for me.
Yeah, my cousin lived with us for a couple years, and he had like the random box bin of blended Legos.
Together Legos, yeah.
And like once in a while,
wasn't that fun when you blend them together? You couldn't really put anything together.
Well, but he'd be like, "You want to build a ship so you can build the best ship?" And I'd be like, "Sure, I guess."
I guess.
But yeah, largely what Will said is like, I just went out and played basketball or
all
went
I
to
did
a
as
park.
well. Yeah, you just run around and play sports.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Saturday's story in a
so these are the
round
fake,
robin.
These are the fake Legos as my voice breaks.
Yeah, they're kind of the fake Legos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the fake Legos, but I never had any.
Knockoff brand Legos.
Yeah, no.
There you go. Saturday story. Usually at 8:15. We moved it up today to 8 o'clock. Joe Freeman is down at the final Pac-12 sporting event as the baseball tournament gets underway. Well, it got underway yesterday, but for Oregon State and Oregon, gets underway today. We'll talk to one of our favorites, Joe Freeman. That is next on 1080 The Fan.
The NFL schedule is and Sprague is poured by Pelican Brewing. Be ready for your next afternoon vacation with Beak Breaker Tropical. Pelican Brewing, born at the beach.
All right, Daily Ticker time here on a Wednesday, brought to you by Pelican Brewing. Visit pelicanbrewing.com for more details on locations, events, award-winning beers, independently brewed since 1996. Pelican Brewing, born at the beach. Very fitting that our guest today for the Daily Ticker, his Twitter picture is him standing on a beach drinking a beer. So it just fits perfectly with the segment. Joining us now is our good friend Joe Freeman, at Blazer Freeman on Twitter. Go give him a follow, covering Oregon State baseball in the final Pac-12 tournament.
More like Beaver Freeman, right? Lately.
He's Beaver. I know we got to change the Twitter handle. Do you have any emotional reaction to this? I'm assuming this is the final Pac-12 event. Is there any emotional reaction to that for you?
For me personally?
Yes.
He's an ACC guy.
I know, but he's been on the West Coast for a long time.
That's true.
I mean, it's incredibly sad. At this point, I feel like most people have probably processed all of their emotions, especially during football season. We were all pretty knee deep in that. I think that was probably the hardest, more emotional part of the year. That's just for me personally, though. I'm sure, OSU baseball diehards are probably going to be shedding a tear this week.
Yeah. I thought it was a really good idea for them to create this tournament, and this is obviously before we knew the conference was going to blow up and not exist anymore. What has it been like, you think, from the players and coaches angle of having this tournament in college baseball?
I think there's mixed reaction. On the one hand, it's an opportunity. Oregon State kind of felt last year like they had to come in and win a couple games to reinforce their standing as a national seed, and they went 0-2, and so they didn't host, but they had an opportunity. I know Oregon last year came in reeling, having lost a bunch of games, over the last couple of weeks, and they ended up winning the tournament and ended up going and hosting a super regional. So it kind of saved their season. So from that standpoint, overwhelmingly positive, and people love it. Now, on the other hand, man, I have seen some wild games. My first year, UCLA came back from like a 9 or 10 run deficit, and it was like a million hits and a million hours played, and it was just nuts. Where they have it at the particular field they do, it's like a hitter's paradise, and it's hot, and it's where pitchers go to die. And so on the other side of the coin, you are exposing your pitchers to more innings, and taking some of their bullets away. So you can burn through pitching a little bit if you're not careful, just because of it's an extra week and just in a hitter's paradise. So I think it's been mostly positive. They tweaked the format after the first year, and the last 2 years have been a lot more palatable. But I think I've left the field at like 1 a.m. and, crazy hours, just because of the first year was nuts.
It is wild. I remember some of those Oregon State games last year. They just felt like they went on forever, and 20 runs were getting scored at absolute madness. Now, speaking of that, you mentioned where pitching goes to die. I think last time we talked to you, one of the biggest concerns about Oregon State was their relief pitching, and just how's that going to hold up late in the season. How big of a question does that remain? And is that pitching staff ready, you think, to tackle postseason baseball this year?
I think it's still the biggest weakness of the team. I also know that it's the biggest weakness of almost every college baseball team. I can't remember exactly what we talked about last time, but there was, last time I checked, like 6 teams with ERAs under 4 in college baseball. And I don't know exactly where it's at today. I haven't looked for updated stats, but it is typically, one of you guys know I'm a Florida State fan, and that's what people in Tallahassee are talking about, the Seminoles, who are a potential national seed. It's just the label. There's just not as many, there's so many teams and only so many talented arms. So I do like the key pieces at the back end of the Beavers bullpen. Joey Munt is a solid veteran who's the only guy that's been around since Pat Casey was here, or I should say the previous regime. I don't think he played under Pat Casey, but their closer, Bridger Holmes, is a stopper of the year, a finalist or semifinalist or whatever. Nelson Keljo is a hard-throwing lefty who's really kind of had a solid close to the season. And so they have pieces back there. It's just when they start to go through, when you get into the regionals and you get to Omaha, if they get that far, when you get to that 6th, 7th, 8th pitcher, what separates the champions from the field. And so that will be the biggest question. I will say that, they're going to score so many runs potentially that should alleviate a lot of those concerns. But yeah, I would say that's the bullpen, definitely their biggest. I think Mitch Cannon said, they were still kind of creating their identity. And this was like 3 weeks ago. So, it's kind of a never-ending pursuit there.
Do you think Bazana gets the Golden Spikes Award, or do you think that falls to somebody else? Obviously, a record-setting year for him in Corvallis and what he broke at Oregon State and being the Pac-12 Player of the Year. Does he get the Golden Spikes to you?
I think he should get it. Maybe I'm biased, but it'll probably come down to him and Charlie Condon at Georgia, who is just I think he leads the nation in homers and RBIs. He's ridiculous. I just think that what Bazana does from an all-around perspective, he does more than Charlie Condon does. He hits home runs and drives in runs as well, but he also bats leadoff and steals bases and scores runs and has a much better batting average and also plays a position. Charlie Condon's an outfielder, I'm almost positive, or maybe a first baseman, or maybe a combo. But playing a second base just brings more than an outfielder would. So I would argue that Bazana is the guy that's going to win it. But how that voting goes, who knows? Those two guys will also, I believe, it will come down to them who might be the number one overall pick. And I've been here in the Major League Baseball draft, and I've been hearing buzz lately that Bazana has kind of elevated his stock from a 2, 3, 4 guy into right there as a potential number one overall guy. So, we might be hearing about these guys, years down the road.
We're talking with Joe Freeman at Blazer Freeman on Twitter. Does a great job covering Oregon State baseball as they get set to begin their journey in the Pac-12 tournament today. This is sports radio, so I got to ask you a hot, takey, cliche question, Joe. We can clip this out and it can go viral.
I'm out. See you guys later. Hey, it was fun, man. I'll see you guys next time. I got to get to the field. You guys are the best.
Where is he, like Mount Rushmore me, Oregon State baseball? Does he need a title to be on it? Is he there because he's topping like all these records he's breaking? You mentioned number one overall pick. Where do we put him in the Mount Rushmore of Oregon State baseball?
He undoubtedly belongs on the Oregon State baseball Mount Rushmore.
Does he have a crack at number one?
Adley Rutschman was his Golden Spikes Award number one overall pick and won a championship. So I don't know. I mean, he would have to do those things, right, to get there. But when you look at the totality of his career, Adley wasn't very good as a freshman. I don't know that he barely played at all. He certainly didn't produce much, had a solid sophomore season, and then just went ham, as a junior. And so, a lot of his best marks, his franchise or his program marks are single season. Travis Bazana owns the all-time hits record, the all-time home runs record. He's in pursuit of the RBI record, the walks record, the total base record. If the season ended today, he'd have the batting average and slugging percentage record. He's the stolen base leader. Doubles leader. It goes on. And then additionally, he has these single season records of home runs and so on and so forth. So he's a guy who has produced at a ridiculously high level for 3 consecutive seasons. He's started since the second he walked on campus, and that's pretty rare for a guy at his level and to do what he's been able to do. So, I mean, that's just an absolute no-brainer. And, he's a little bit nuts in that he some dudes go to the plate and they're like, I want to know what this pitcher throws. You got sliders, you have fastballs, you have a changeup. I want to sit this pitch. What does he like to throw on these counts? And let's keep things simple. That's kind of how Gavin Turley is, who's an incredible prospect in the 2025 draft next year. He's a sophomore on the team. Travis wants, he downloads a file into his brain like he's a cyborg. He wants all the information. He gets overloaded with stuff and he processes it so fast, velocity and spin rates and so on. He just can't devour enough information. And that combined just with an obscene work ethic and just a thirst to be the best really has set him apart. So it'll be interesting to see, baseball is just gone next level with analytics and, exit velocity and spin rates and all that stuff that's way above my head. And so he's unique and a unique kind of a special breed in that regard.
I know you've been covering Oregon State primarily for the last couple of years, but you have seen their in-state rival a few times in that span, and they're the 3 seed in this tournament. I'm just curious what you think Oregon's chances might be to win this tournament, given how wild and unpredictable tournaments like this can be. Oregon State at 2, Oregon the 3. Can the Ducks do it, or do they lack a little something to you?
They absolutely can do it. I mean, they did it last year, and they had no business doing it. They had no pitching. All their main guys were hurt, and they kind of piecemealed everything together. Waz really has that program, kind of ready to take that next step as sort of, an annual, well, I wouldn't say an annual contender in the Pac-12, but that doesn't exist anymore. So we'll have to see how they do in the Big Ten. I would imagine they would step right to the top of the fray there because, that conference is such a cold weather conference. But, yeah, absolutely. They hit the ball really well. They field the ball really well. They have a couple guys who are absolute masters. It's a much different team than they had last year, which was built around just a ton of seniors. But have been much more consistent pitching. They just swept their season-ending series. They won at Utah the weekend before to kind of cement themselves in the top third of the conference there. So especially as a number 3 seed, they have a bit of a tough bracket. They have USC, which is playing, pretty tough, and then Utah again, which is fighting for its postseason life. So it'll be a bit difficult. But yeah, they absolutely. I would say any of the top 4 or 5 teams have a chance in this, especially after what happened last year.
So you're telling me there's a chance. Before we let you go,
telling you there's a chance.
Well, can you power rank the 4 remaining cities in the NBA playoffs for us? Which ones were the best ones to visit, 1 through 4?
Well, give me the cities. We got Boston.
You got Boston, Indianapolis, Minneapolis, and Dallas.
Boston, Indy, Dallas, and Minnie. I would go Boston 1. Dallas 2. Woo! What time of year are we doing this, man?
Right now.
Indy and Minnie were not. Minnie grew. Both of them grew on me at the end. After you kind of find your spots. I've never been in either of those 2 cities for longer than a couple days. I've been in Boston and Dallas for a bit longer, so especially Dallas. I guess I'll give the coin flip to Minnie just because it's easier to get to travel-wise. It's a direct flight. So
Minnie and Indy sounds like a sitcom, by the way. This needs to be a new production. The Minnie and Indy show.
you got your accents that you can mix in there too. Right. What's weird is Indianapolis is a lot of people don't know this. It's a huge convention city. They have. I think that's partly why the NFL Combine is there. There's a million hotels. There's a huge convention center. There's a million places to host things. And so they have conventions all year round there, but it's that was one of the few cities. I found a couple places to hang out, but it was never a place that I spent a lot of time in, so I don't know it very well. So sorry, Indy, you're on the bottom there.
Great stuff. Joe Freeman at Blazer Freeman on Twitter. Go give him a follow. Covering Oregon State as the Pac-12 tournament picks up today for Oregon State and Oregon, and we'll be watching it closely. Hopefully you're not stuck at the ballpark till 2 o'clock in the morning. Thanks as always for the time, and let's catch up again soon.
All right. One thing before I let you guys know, and I'm going to throw off your whole timing here, but last time you asked me if there was going to be a mass exodus with Oregon State baseball. Well, I actually wrote about that and kind of it ran this morning. I spoke with Gavin Turley, Trent Caraway, who are 2 of the top 5 prospects in the 25 Major League Baseball draft, and a freshman pitcher, their Sunday starter, Eric Segura. All 3 say they're coming back. They say the vibe around the team is that everybody's coming back. Mitch Canham held a big meeting in late April in which he said, tell me everything you want to know. Here's everything I know about our schedule, our streaming options, our money, our NIL. And do you have any concerns? What are you hearing? And the vibe in the room and the vibe on the team is that the program will there should not be a mass exodus next season as they go independent. So I'll throw that little nugget out there before you let me go.
That is awesome. I think Beaver fans going to love to hear that, and it'd be great to see that team stick together because we know how talented and how young they are. So that's great, and if everybody can go check that out, Oregon Live and in the Oregonian. Thanks, Joe, man. We always appreciate it.
All right, fellas. I'll talk to you later.
There you go, Joe Freeman with a bit of good news there, Dan. That's one of the teams at Oregon State that I think we all assumed would stick together because of how good the program has been. But we thought the same with women's basketball, and that didn't happen. So good news in the leagues.
And I know we're against it. The good news I think for them is one, it kind of operates in its own little world, the baseball program, given what they've done and accomplished.
And literally next year they will be independent, not in a conference.
And that's, I wonder how underrated that is, staying independent in baseball opposed to saying, yeah, we're going to play in the WCC. You can talk about money and being good. That stuff matters to players too, what conference you're in. And so being independent, having a good schedule, it curtails maybe some of those guys bolting for greener pastures.
All right, private equity money and another coach being exposed potentially. We'll get to those out of college football next, but first here's Will with SportsCenter.
Now,
I'm sure it'll carry over tomorrow because this story is not going away.
I think people are clamoring to talk about this topic.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Oh, there's nothing more exciting
Juicy,
in sports media and radio.
Sexy.
Let's debate private equity.
Do you want me to inject you with some capital?
Do you care if your school pays 22% on an interest rate?
So for those who don't know what the hell is going on, the multiple lawsuits are pending against the NCAA, and they are going to settle those cases. Now, I don't believe they've reached an official settlement yet. Part of the whole weird thing here is they're going to settle without the approval of the players, even though it includes a revenue-sharing model, basically a salary cap of $22 million per school to pay the players, but the players have no say in how much money that gets revenue shared with them, so it's just going to open a can of worms for more lawsuits. But part of these lawsuits is that they have to pay roughly $2.8 billion in back damages. That's everybody. And so they've broken it up to how much each conference would have to pay and how much each school would have to pay, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, the Big 12 was the first conference of
They've
the
already
power
approved it.
conferences to do it. The little conferences are pissed.
They are pissed because they don't have a seat at the table to negotiate this at all.
And they make $4 million
Yes.
annually on their TV deals. It's like, why are we paying 60% of this?
And they're just being told, here's your bill, thank you very much. And they're already cash strapped. I think the ACC has also approved it. There was another conference that has already voted on it.
I think you're right on the ACC too, yeah.
So they're facing this big $2.8 billion in back damages. They're facing the idea of a basically salary cap system of about $22 million annually per school. And not everybody has the richest TV contract on the planet. Insert private capital. So this is coming from a name who you might know, Drew Weatherford. We've talked about him before because he's been in the mix with this. He's been trying to do this for a number of years. He's a former Florida State quarterback who is now a private capital investor with like Redbird Capital Partners or whatever the company is called. And he is now talking to Ross Dellinger about their goal, and it looks like this is going to happen in the very short term. So he's saying he's met with a number of different schools. They've talked about giving as little as $50 million and as much as $200 million.
Mm-hmm.
And they are essentially going to help programs who can't afford it or need more money because they feel like they're falling behind. Here's $50 million, and I don't know how the payback's going to work, and I don't know any of those specific details, but at least 3 Power Conference school athletic directors confirmed to Yahoo Sports that they have spoken deeply with Weatherford and his associate about a partnership. They declined to reveal the identity of the details and all that because they haven't been finalized.
Florida State is one. I was going to ask it to Freeman, but we ran out of time. They have been sniffing around because Weatherford works on their alumni board.
They want out of the ACC because they're going to be $50 million behind in the gap between what the SEC and the big schools and the Big Ten are going to make. And so they feel like they can't make that up, let alone now you have to pay these bills in back damages, and you're going to have to take $22 million a year whenever that comes into effect, and that's going to be your salary cap to go buy your team.
And I'm left to think, what about this future? Awful? Is this somehow a good thing for my program? Because if you get to where we're talking about salary cap stuff and player compensation and private equity, and I mean, in a weird way, it almost kind of eliminates Oregon's advantage over so many schools with what they've got going on right now, doesn't it? That's how I kind of read the piece this morning. I was like, oh, I guess I didn't consider that. Because basically their argument is it's not good to have only like 10 to 12 teams that can win a title. That number should be 40 to 50. Now,
yes,
that seems a bit unrealistic if we're being honest, but I don't know if I'd argue with the point of including more is a little better. But to jump from 10 to 12 to 40 to 50, that's gonna require some serious backing financially.
Weatherford describes, this is in Dellinger's piece, Collegiate Athletic Solutions, CAS, as a private capital, not equity. There is no ownership here, he says. Schools have the freedom to be flexible with a $50 million to $200 million lump sum. It's meant to be spent on other existing capitals, traditional debt, booster donations, and bonds to offset expenses such as athlete revenue sharing, coaching salaries, and facility improvements, but the freedom is theirs.
Yeah, well, he says
That's
that, but it's also, there's a little blurb in there somewhere where he says we don't mandate that they hire anybody from us, but we do get to advise the ADs and the presidents. And it's like, okay, all right, I see what you're doing. You're working around the issue or the thing that could pop up as a complaint.
Yeah.
This has very mixed reviews, with mostly people leaning of please get the hell away. private equity in college football and how we got here.
But to be fair, though, man, I look at your program, I look at Big Sky programs, I look at Mountain West programs, and they're going to be hit with a bill for this back pay. Everybody's got to pay it, $2.8 billion. The way they're figuring out who pays what, and that's all confusing to me. But you're going to be hit with a bill. You don't have a big-time TV deal.
No.
If you need anything to keep up, what have the Oregon State men been arguing for the last year? It's winning all these court cases to get the money so you have something to play with for the next couple of years because you're falling behind financially. If somebody comes to Oregon State right now and says, here's a $200 million injection of capital into Oregon State athletics, what does that do for the Oregon State athletic department?
Yeah, but you got to pay it back.
I know.
It's not just a free loan.
I know. It's so easy, though, to be like, we'd like to pay down our stadium and have some money to spend on players for our football team and buy our way into a bigger conference. Like, not everybody has the big-time Phil Knight booster or the SMU ability to say, we'll join the ACC with no revenue sharing. So that's where this is going to be really attractive.
How does this make you feel? Because it was... You guys did have a little bit of an advantage with what Phil Knight and that backing has been. There's no doubt. How does this make you feel if this is the direction we're going and it kind of renders boosters useless?
I don't even know.
And everybody's on the even playing field.
Yeah, I don't even know if it matters. Because I think of what you said there is true. Like, this is where this is going to happen. They're going to settle this case. They're going to have to. We're going to have revenue sharing. Yep. We're going to have salaries for college football players. Like, this is what is going to happen. Yeah. They're fugazi of getting away with pretending as if these are amateur athletes and a scholarship is going to work.
They're trying hard on
They're trying. It ain't going to happen, man. It's not going to go anywhere. This is why I was actually supportive of the Rashada lawsuit yesterday. Like, how many times did college coaches lie to recruits about what they were going to give them and promising them all sorts of things, and then they commit to the school, and there's nothing there waiting for you when you sign. And, oh, by the way, back in the day, there wasn't a transfer portal. So you could have a coach lie to your face, promise you all these different things, none of them come to fruition, and then you're locked into a scholarship that you signed on to because if you want to transfer, you have to sit out for a year. So I'm all for more player mobility. I'm all for more player ability to earn more money. And so, yeah, it hurts Oregon a little bit because we have an advantage right now with the ability to go buy whatever player that we want. But I don't think that model is good for the sport. I'm willing to put my love of the sport above what's best for my program, and having everybody on an even playing field with only $22 million to spend, you choose how it goes to your roster. It's much better for the health of college football.
The tea leaves are certainly suggesting, too, that equity is coming no matter what people think. I mean, we had the Super League idea that, I was all aboard with because it brought my team back to a relevant playing field.
That was an equity push, by the way, too. We're going to inject capital into the sport.
And Dellinger releases this early this morning. It's another equity push. It's like, to me, the tea leaves are clearly screaming that these universities are leaning more and more and more closer to just dabbling and getting into the equity, the private equity of it all.
Anybody that's not in the Big Ten, top of the Big Ten with their payout and the top of the SEC with their payout is desperate for these meetings and desperate for this money. Because the SEC and Big Ten is going to lap everybody, not my school included, because they're getting half the payout right now. But the big-time dogs in those conferences, they're making $80, $90, $100 million a year in their TV deals.
Yeah.
The ACC's making like 25.
Well, the Big 12 is only going to make 31 and some change.
That's a gap in $70 million a year in revenue that you don't have, that you got to make up some other way. And this is one of those solutions.
Greg Sankey, not a fan, I would imagine, of the even playing field.
That's right, yeah. We want all the power. We want all the money. All right, we'll close it up. Coach is a douche, and the Western Conference Finals begins. Wrap it up there next on The Fan. If you text the word Reno, R-E-N-O, to 503-864-6326, you'll be entered for a chance to win tickets to see Nick Swardson at the Elsinore Theater on October 26th, courtesy of Live Nation. Head to 1080thefan.com for more details. Again, that is Reno. Text R-E-N-O to 503-864-6326. You can win tickets to see Nick Swardson.
Something real quick before we get to the douche coach that makes you feel old, but certainly makes me feel a little older because I'm 2 years older than you. The Sandlot was filmed in 1993, and it was set 31 years prior to the timeline at which it was made.
Okay.
That is exactly what the gap is between now and 1993. So
I don't know if anything makes me feel older than those.
Yeah, the Back to the Future ones, like if Marty was to go back now, it'd be 1994. And you're like, what?
You had that one. There was another one of or Wonder Years was the other one.
Wonder Years.
When they did the Wonder Years, it was filmed in this and it was set in this, and now if you did it then, it would be in like 1999.
It's pretty brutal
like,
when I see these. I went, oh man.
We're getting way too old, buddy. We're getting way too old. James Franklin is a douche, and I don't know if anybody is really surprised by this, but there's a report coming out of Penn State that James Franklin allegedly pushed to cut a suicidal player who was receiving short-term psychiatric care after he attempted to jump out of a window and commit suicide. A former team doctor is now saying in court if the player had been cut from the team, his scholarship would have been lost. So, not a good look.
Not a good look.
But we care about mental health.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he's said anything publicly about mental health, but you telling me James Franklin's kind of one of these people? I'm not surprised.
Not surprised. Somebody texting in, there's no sure sign that college football will collapse than the potential entry of private equity into the sport. Nothing kills business and industries more than private equity. I understand that fear. I'm going to approach this as like the quarterback pay thing. Like, what do you want the other schools to do? How are you going to afford the bills of paying $2.8 billion in back damages?
Yeah.
A $22 million revenue. Like the Big 12's total TV payout in their TV deal is $30 million. They're supposed to spend in this new agreement $22 million on their football roster, and you want them to compete?
Well, I guess I would say like maybe everybody should have thought of that.
Yeah,
we
should have thought of all
this
years ago. We've been talking about
this for a long time, man. This is not a new topic.
I know. It's very frustrating. But I understand the fear. I'm not supportive of private equity. I understand that. I don't know what the hell you want them to do. That's the hard part. If you're that far behind the eight ball of the bigger schools. So there you go. Western Conference Finals begins tonight. Before I get to that, I do quickly want to update the poll question, see where we're at.
Sure.
Jonathan Gavoni had the Blazers taking Topic and Zach Edey. Do you like it?
A lot of quote tweet angry things on this one.
78.6% of you say no, not another guard.
Actually lower than I thought it would be.
It is. I dropped my bagel in the parking lot on my way in. Would you eat the bagel you dropped in the parking lot? 53.5% of you said yes.
Oh, God.
Well done, listeners. Well done.
Shame on you.
Proud of you.
Shame.
You bet your ass I ate that bagel.
Shame.
Go back to yesterday quickly. Is Ben overrated, properly rated, underrated? 65% of you